2. Joe List, ladies and gentlemen. Joe List!
Oh, I'm already in. I'm already going.
I wanted to do it like one of the morning DJ guys.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Joe, I hear you're in town for the funny fuck.
I am. I'm doing the funny fuck this weekend, tonight through Sunday.
Excellent. Actually, you are working with me tonight. We have 2 sold-out shows at the Hollywood Improv.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to be there.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be The Machine, Bert Kreischer.
Love Bert.
And Cheeto Santino, Andrew Santino. You know Andrew?
I know Andrew, but I don't know him personally.
You just know of him. He knows me. He's hilarious. Yeah, should be a good old fucking time.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. How long are you in town for?
I leave tomorrow morning. Got here on Sunday. I got here Saturday, actually. But I stayed down Manhattan Beach.
Oh, what are you doing? You posh, hanging out with the people by the beach?
It was nice. I was down the airport. My wife is here, and I said, let's go down to Manhattan Beach for lunch. And we were enjoying ourselves, so we got a hotel and made love and walked on the beach.
Whoa, you made love.
Yeah.
You must really love her if you made love.
I do.
Ooh. I went to a party once in Manhattan Beach, and the guy collected toasters.
Oh.
And I was like, what is this? And he was like, I just collect toasters. I'm like, okay. From all different time periods. Like he had an ancient toaster from like the 50s with all this patina on it, and then he had modern toasters. But I think he was trying too hard. You know, some dudes just wear bowling shoes and shit. They just try too hard to be wacky.
Yeah, was he like a hipster, or was he like an old sage?
He was a guy who was trying to fuck my girlfriend.
Oh.
And she wanted to go to this party. So I was like, all right.
Wow.
I think she was an actress, and I think he was in the movie business.
Imagine getting cucked by a toaster collector.
Yeah, I almost did. Well, it was one of them squirrely deals where she was like, I'm so not interested in him. I just want to go to this party for networking. I was a young lad. I had just moved to Hollywood. I did not know the ways of this goofy fucking town yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't exercised myself from Hollywood in particular,
Right.
I was still doing the thing, acting, going on auditions and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, when you first get here, you're like, what is this? Especially in the 90s, it was super squirrely because everybody was trying to get a development deal and everybody was trying to get a sitcom, and they kind of like let you think that was the only way.
Right.
You have to get a sitcom. You want to be like Roseanne? Don't you want to be like Tim Allen? What about Seinfeld? He got a sitcom. You should get a sitcom. Damn, I want to get a sitcom. And so everybody was out here just trying to do the acting thing. I did it for a while, and after a while, you're like, these people are not worth it.
But you did get a sitcom, right?
Yeah. I got a couple of them. Yeah, I was on a couple of them.
It seems like fun.
It's fun. Stand-up's more fun.
Yeah, it's not something I'd be interested in doing, but...
If you could do a sitcom with all stand-ups, that would be the shit. That would be the shit. Like if you could do a sitcom with really good writers who are cool and all the people on the show were stand-ups, that would be fucking monstrous. But it's not usually like that.
No, and it seems very, what do you call it? Corporate, and you got to do this and this and a lot of rules and stuff. It seems like podcasts are...
Well, they're trying to make money, and they can't make money if people do things that get people in trouble. They say things that get people angry, or someone calls up human resources, and Joe List was talking about his dick. And the craft service lady heard it, and now there's a lawsuit.
I think with podcasts now, most of us comedians with podcasts have no chance of getting any corporate job.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I get offered shit all the time. I think that we don't need it, though.
Right.
And I think it actually will get in the way. Have you ever written on a sitcom?
No.
Written on anything?
No.
When you write, there's a trap that comics fall into that are good writers. They get this sitcom writing gig, and it's a sweet gig. You get paid thousands of dollars a week. Your bills are covered, so you feel good.
Right.
But you're never going on the road. You're in town all the time. You're just doing sets around town, so you're pretending that you're still a comic.
Right.
But you're really a sitcom writer who kind of like has a hobby of doing stand-up, and you never develop on the road. And there's a bunch of guys. Do you know Owen Smith?
That's another guy I don't know. I've met him a couple times.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
One of the best comics in the world. And he's just been spending so many years doing these sitcoms. Like, I saw him one night at the Comedy Store. I'm like, how the fuck is this guy not gigantic? Like, how does he not have a Netflix hour that everyone's talking about? How is it everybody not trying to book him places? And it's just because he's been doing this sitcom writer thing. He's trying to break out of that now, though.
Tommy Johnigan's another guy. Do you know Tommy Johnigan?
I've heard of him.
He's one of the best comedians I think there is.
He's a writer.
But he's been writing on a TV show. But he's happy. He's got 2 kids, and it keeps him off the road. But to me, it's a bummer as a comedy fan because I'm like, I want to see that new hour. But I think he still works a little bit.
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg had a really funny bit about that, about how comedy, like when you're a comedian, it's the only job where someone asks you to do another job.
Yeah. Yeah. There was somebody, when I first moved to New York, there was a guy that was like, do you do any writing? And I was like, well, I did all that writing. I wrote all that. But that's why I never liked writing other than stand-up, because stand-up I can write all day and then go do it that night. Whereas when I'm writing like a movie or a TV show, I'm like, I'm wasting this isn't going to get made. Which is not, my therapist says that's not what should inspire you to write. You should be writing because it's a way to express yourself.
Your therapist is right, but then again, if you are writing something and nothing happens, it is fucking stupid.
It feels wasteful when I could be writing jokes that I do on stage.
Yeah, you just get into that sort of thing where you're just like, what am I doing here? And then it steals your thunder.
Yeah, I feel that way all the time, unrelated to comedy.
Just life.
Yeah, what am I doing here?
You write. You sit down and write. A
little bit, yeah. I try to, but a lot of times I'll start writing and then I end up just
jerking off.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I do that less than I used to.
Well, Louis said that he kept his he had one laptop that could not connect to the internet. He had it. Yeah.
He still does that. Yeah.
But if you do that, like, what if you want to Google something while you're writing?
Well, I do that a lot, and I'll use it as an excuse. I'll be writing, and then I'm like, what's the origin? Let me Google that for research, and then before you know it, I'm just going through Instagram, and I'm jerking off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta have discipline. That's all. I give myself an hour. I have 1 hour that I have to write, and then if I enjoy it, I keep going. But for 1 hour, there is nothing going on but writing.
See, that's ambitious. I have to go literally. I'm not even joking. Like 10 minutes. I'm like, let me do 10 minutes, and usually I'll go a little longer because I'm like, all right. But now I'll do like 30 minutes, and I'm like, then you can treat yourself. I'm a child.
I am too. But I found that, obviously we came in here, me and Jeff were embroiled in a Quake death match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we wouldn't stop to say hi. I said hi briefly.
I appreciate I felt bad.
See you in 15 minutes.
I felt like I walked in and you fucking.
You were a little early.
Sweating and intense. Well, I got here early and I'm always compulsively early everywhere.
Good.
I spend a lot of time just doing laps around places because I have so much anxiety. But I parked and I was like, I'll just sit in my car for 10 minutes. And then a big guy came out and was just looking at me. And so then I was like, I think this must mean I have to get out of the car.
Yeah, he's armed.
So I got out. Oh, is he? Oh, great.
Of course.
Oh, I'm terrified. But yeah, so I got here early. I was on camera. But I would have showed up right at...
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right.
We shouldn't have snuck in that extra game. It's just the problem is you play one game and then it gets going. Like we play for a half hour, play to 100 points, 100 deaths, and then it gets intense. And then if one guy beats the other guy, gives him a drubbing, then the other guy wants revenge, and then you have to play that second match.
Yeah, it's addictive.
Then you start off your day with 2 ass kickings.
It's like jerking off. That's 100 deaths.
Yeah, you start off your day with 2 jerk-off sessions. You're like, man, I have a lot of catching up to do if I want to make this a productive day.
Are you still jerking off a lot?
Of course.
I feel like I don't jerk off that much anymore.
What?
Well, I have a wife and we have sex, but even when
I do that.
She's not away,
one of those.
When she's away,
then you jerk off?
I'll jerk off a little bit, but
How
I have
often?
less than I used to. Is something wrong with me? I can still get my vagina hard. I'm just not. I'm not as interested.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
But when I'm with her, I'm very turned
interested.
on. Yeah,
yes, I get it. But in your free time, you've got other shit on your mind. You're focused.
I am focused on about 5,000 things at once.
Yeah, me too. Welcome to the world of being a comedian.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, Louis' idea is a good idea on paper to like not have anything connected to the internet.
Well, he has this. I think about doing this now. He has 2 phones, like a flip phone that like 12 people have the number.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has like a smartphone that he'll leave behind. So like his kids can call him or his mother or whatever. I'm one of the 12. But like someone can get in touch with him and you can call 911 or whatever, but there's no Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So that's like a decent idea is 2 phones. Because I'm fucked up with, but then like, obviously you're friends with Ari. He has the flip phone.
That's it.
Louis has the flip phone. But what sucks is when you're hanging out with these people, they still need the shit. So they end up using your phone.
Exactly.
Like, I'll go hiking with Ari, whatever, a trip, and he's like, pull up your Google Maps. Can I use your phone? And they
Fuck
just has
you.
my phone.
How about have some discipline, Ari?
Yeah.
Get
and
a real phone.
I don't want anyone to have my phone. It's not like I don't have crazy
exactly.
porn or whatever.
Don't be touching my phone.
I don't like people holding my phone.
That's like someone wearing your underwear.
Yes. It's worse.
Hey, can I borrow your underwear? What?
You can take
Can't
my
you
underwear.
just go raw dog? Just put pants on?
Yeah.
Do you have to have underwear? It's weird.
You don't need underwear.
You do.
I sprinkle a lot of tinkle.
Yeah, but if you have a good pair of underwear, it's better than like if you're wearing jeans and shit and your dick's rubbing against your zipper. That shit's annoying.
Yeah, that's no good. Good point. You need underwear. I take it back. I want to walk back my no
Ari
underwear.
just needs some discipline. He just needs some goddamn discipline. He's such a child.
He does, but I understand addiction and stuff. It's difficult because I have it where I'm like, just don't look.
Yeah.
But I'm obsessed with my phone too.
Well, I am too, but I'm not as bad as I used to be. But Ari, he realizes it. He's like, he's not a loser. He's a winner. Like, he figures shit out.
He's
like,
a
all
winner.
right. He's like, all right, I have a fucking problem, and I'm not getting better at this, so I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to get this fucking stupid flip phone that I could barely text on. Like, whenever he texts me, it's like a miracle. I'm like, what are you doing here with this caveman phone? This is a text message from this stupid fucking phone?
And then you have to keep it short because you can't send like a long thing because it comes in like 3 pages and out of order. So it's like, anyways, I'm gay now. And then it's like, hey, I just met. It's all fucked up. Yeah, it sucks. But maybe I'm thinking about doing it myself.
Well, they're getting crazier. Now they're having these folding phones that blow out to like 10 inches. Have you seen these goddamn things?
No.
Well, Samsung released it, but then they took it back because it started breaking. But it looks like a regular smartphone, but it's fat. And the reason why it's fat is you can open it up and it becomes a giant smartphone.
Oh, that seems kind of nice.
It's pretty nice if you need an iPad everywhere you go.
Right.
But do you?
No. I don't. I use my phone also as like a computer. I barely use my computer. I just write emails and shit on my phone.
Yeah, I write very few emails on my phone. I'm trying to limit my hour on the phone to 1 hour. 1 hour for the whole day. 1 hour of screen time.
Yeah, it's
doable.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, I forced it on my kid, so I'm like, okay, if she gets an hour of screen time, I should get an hour of screen time.
Right. But you're also running a business.
That's true.
You have a team.
But I'm also irresponsible.
Right.
Yeah. I have other people that pick up the slack.
It's a full-on addiction, though. It's fucked up. Like, I'll go on a plane. I'll fly across the country. I'm on airplane mode. You can't even use it. And I'll find myself just looking at photos just because I want the dopamine, where the fuck it is, of just holding and moving my phone.
Yeah.
It's really a problem.
It is a problem. And I've been doing a bit about it. About the real problem is what's next. The real problem is where does it go from here? Because it's got you hooked just looking at photos and text.
Well, I mean, I walked in, you couldn't say hello, and you were crying playing a game called Quake. So that might be the next step.
There's something about staring at that screen when you get really intense. Your eyes start watering. I swear to God, I wasn't emotional.
No, I thought your parents passed away as I pulled in.
I leave here, I feel like a freak. First of all, sometimes when we leave, we'll have these battles that'll go like 2 hours, and then when I leave, my fucking heart's pounding, my adrenaline's rushing, and I'm like, see you later, man, bye.
Wow.
And we leave, and we're like, what the fuck? And I'm driving home. It's like literally like I just had a fight. Like you don't have a fight with somebody.
Wow, I don't have that.
Yeah, it's a very, very bad addiction, but it's really fun too. So part of me is like, I'm enjoying the shit out of this. It's really fun to play.
I think that's the key, is just enjoy it. You got to enjoy whatever decision you're making. This is again my therapist tells me.
That's what your therapist tells you?
Yeah. Well, I have like a horrible diet my whole life.
What do you eat?
Well, now I've changed. I'm going through a bit of a medical situation right now. I have AIDS, Joe. I came here to say.
What kind of AIDS? The good kind? Like
the good
Magic
kind.
Johnson
yeah,
kind?
kind of the fun. The fun, you lose a little weight, whatever.
But it makes you whimsical?
Yeah, I feel good. I can play basketball now.
Like the Flintstones, like gay old time.
Did they have AIDS?
Yeah.
The
they all did. That's why they're not here anymore.
What was I going to say? I got caught up
you
on
have a
Flintstone
medical
AIDS.
issue?
Oh, so I have this thing called silent reflux. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's acid reflux, but they call it silent because there's no heartburn. It's different than GERD. It just goes straight up into your like vocal cords and into your throat. So it's like fucking up my shit.
Oh no.
And I wake up with like a cough, and it's like they're calling it respiratory reflux now, where it's almost like asthma, sinus shit.
And it's diet related?
Yeah, well, I drink Coke, a lot of like 3 or 4 Cokes a day, exclusively like a large pizza, extra marinara, chicken parm, extra marinara, Chipotle, extra hot sauce, chocolate chip cookies.
You eat garbage.
I eat like a garbage child. I'm a garbage child.
A grown-up baby.
Yeah, so I just ate exclusively that. And I was in therapy, but I knew, I was like, I'm fucking myself up. I'm going to die. I'm going to get cancer and die. And my therapist was like, just at least accept your decision. Enjoy eating shit.
Yeah.
He's like, you're eating shit and not even enjoying it. So what's the point? And he's like, accepting it would actually probably help you to eat healthier. And I was like, good point. I'll just start enjoying it. And that lasted 10 days. And that's when the reflux started, and I had to completely change my diet. So I should have had that conversation 25 years earlier. So now I just ate like shit without enjoying it. And now I'm refluxing. And I can't eat any of that stuff. I had to cut out everything.
So what did they tell you to eat now? Do you have to cut out dairy? What do you cut now?
Well, I'm going back to the doctor on Thursday. Then I'm seeing a specialist who coined the phrase. It's like $1,000 for a consultation. But at this point, I'm like,
Christ.
I'm losing my mind.
How crazy is that? A doctor could charge $1,000 just talk to you.
Well, the first doctor I went to was an ENT, and they do a thing which I think is fucked up. They're like, I'm paying I don't have insurance. I'm paying out of pocket, and they're like, oh, it's a 20% discount if you're paying out of pocket. Like I'm at a record store. Like they're like, we give you a discount if you pay up front. And I'm like, all right, that seems bizarre. It's like my well-being.
That seems like something that someone who deals with drug dealers. Guys come in with bullet wounds. You got cash?
It seems
20% off.
It's a little
Stitch
strange.
you up.
Well, I rolled up my money and put a rubber band around it and handed it to him.
We always like to think that doctors are there's something special about them. You know, they're beyond reproach. They're above and beyond. But I was reading this book called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. It's by this guy, Joel Wallach, and it's all about mineral deficiencies and how many people have mineral deficiencies and how little doctors actually know about nutrition and how so many doctors are not only unhealthy, but have, at least back when he wrote this book, have easy access to prescription medicine, and they're just overdosing.
Right.
And they're just fucking cooking themselves with Coke.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to do like an organic-y thing. So I started eating all these salads and oatmeal and salmon.
Is that helping?
No, well, I feel bad. I've lost weight. I'm thin. I'm taking huge, like, green baby leg shits, like insane, like the S with the...
Feels good, right?
Yeah,
all
it
that
feels
roughage
amazing.
Comes flying out.
And I feel light, and I'm a little more defined.
That's good.
But my throat is still all fucked up. But I've heard it takes months, and I'm like, maybe my body's repairing, and it just doesn't. It takes time to whatever.
So what specifically they tell you to get off of?
Well, when I first went there, it was like the end of the day. Like I started having like a fucking panic attack because there's like white shit coming down my throat. Not the first time that's happened, folks. Come.
I get it.
All right. So I ran in there and I was like, I got to see a doctor today. I'm losing my mind. And they were like, we can squeeze in an appointment. And I think when you show up right before they close with no health insurance, the guy kind of looked and went, oh yeah, that's silent reflux. And then they print out a piece of paper from like WebMD, which is amazing to me. They just print shit out that I could have Googled. And he's like, try to cut out the spicy foods, take Prilosec and whatever. So he made it seem like it was no big deal.
Spicy foods.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they would tell you to cut that out. Like what is, did they say what is actually causing? Like what is the mechanism? Like what's forcing this reaction?
Well, I think what happens is it has something to do with your esophageal sphincter.
Whoa.
Which is...
I didn't know I had one.
Yeah, you do. It's I guess it's at like, I've read so much of this shit. There's like your stomach.
Your G-spot when you're sucking dicks?
Yeah, it gets down in there.
Right?
I feel like that would be deep in there.
Esophageal sphincter.
So it opens up, and there's supposed to be some acid that comes up, but I got too much acid, I guess. It fluxes and then it refluxes. But I think what happens is it gets so fucked up from diet that it becomes compromised. So it doesn't matter what I eat; it's just open like a fucking
like a
big,
blown out asshole,
like a loose asshole. Yeah.
So and that's from just all the acid hitting it over and over and over again.
Yeah. So I got into this. There's a woman named Dr. Kaufman. I forget her first name, but she actually is in New York. That's who I'm going to see for $1,000. But she like coined the phrase and wrote all these books and stuff, and says you can fix it through diet. But I've been taking like a ton of Prilosec and shit, and evidently, I guess I don't know what's helping, like how much worse it would be if I wasn't taking that.
Right.
But then when you get off of that, there's a thing called Rebound Reflex where it just comes back fucking gangbusters.
Oh no.
So I'm all
like people that take Xanax.
Yeah, I used to take Xanax
They say
years
that
ago.
I've never taken it, but they say that when you get off of it, then you get super anxious.
I don't remember that. I only took it if I was like having a panic attack, whatever. But I took Paxil for a long time, and then I couldn't come on that.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's unpleasant.
You and Mike Tyson had the same problem.
Oh, can he not come?
Couldn't when he was on the Paxil.
We're very similar guys.
Real similar.
We have a lot in common.
Similar in your backgrounds.
Yeah. I used to play with pigeons. I shouldn't say play with. Is he listening? This is what's terrifying about this show.
He's a good guy. If you met him, he's super friendly. He's like a giant bear that's like your friend.
Yeah, I'd like to.
He's like really sweet guy, but you are very aware when you're around him that he is not you. Like this is an elite super athlete from the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? He's Mike motherfucking Tyson. And even though he doesn't even hardly work out anymore, like even when you shake his hand, it's like holding onto a brick. It's like his whole body is like, he's like 5 feet wide. Yeah,
I imagine if you work, I don't know, you probably know more about this than I do. If you work out enough for long enough and then you stop, I imagine you're going to have a base.
You definitely have a base.
Like when I was a kid or when I was younger, I was a distance runner and I stopped running distance, but I feel like now I could go run 5 miles because I used to.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel similarly like Mike Tyson could beat me up probably.
Oh yeah, he would kill you.
But, you don't know me that well.
It's true. I don't know. You might have some skills. My friend C.T. Fletcher, he actually had a heart transplant 1 year ago, and he hasn't been able to do much of anything other than like very light exercise. Like he's just trying to like build his body back up. But he used to be a world champion powerlifter, and even though he hasn't worked out, like really worked out in probably like a year and a half, he still has giant arms. He's still huge.
Yeah,
you keep a lot of it.
He could probably beat me up also, you think?
He can't move that much.
Okay.
Because of the heart.
Okay.
You know, he's on a bunch of pills and stuff, but if he got a hold of you, he'd be fucked.
Yeah.
His arms are like double mine. Like
wow.
Two of my arms on top of it.
That's a big arm.
He was an enormous man at one time.
Wow.
He's basically my height, maybe an inch. He's probably like 5'9", maybe an inch taller than me. And he weighed 320 at one point? 320 pounds.
Wow.
Is a picture of him. It's so ridiculous. Like you can't believe that a human could stack that much meat onto your skeleton.
Yeah, I wonder that if I just started really
lifting,
because I'm like, I can't eat healthy foods. I mean, I can't eat shitty foods anymore, and I don't drink, and I don't do drugs. I'm like, maybe I could get into exercise. Like, how big could I get? Can I get fucking?
You can get big. I mean, you definitely get bigger. You're an ectomorph, which means you're tall and lean. And tall. This is one of the reasons why, even though you were on that terrible diet, you're not built like Ralphie May,
right,
or something like that. You know what I mean? Like some people just have bodies that they can absorb a lot of sugar and a lot of bullshit, and your body obviously can do that.
Yeah,
that's C.T. Fletcher when he was 320 pounds.
Yeah,
the fucking size of his arms. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's goofy.
He's so huge. What the fuck? Those are ridiculous.
Do you know?
Anyway,
remember the fighter Vinny Pazienza?
Sure.
He's from Rhode Island, and I was working the Providence Comedy Connection years ago. And he was at the show. We kind of met, and then he was drinking a little bit. And then after the show, we were all at the bar, and I think he was like kind of fucking around. He's like, the comedian, I'm gonna come over there and kick that comedian's ass. He was kind of like, I think he was fucking with me or whatever. But I was like terrified. I'm a terrified human, anyways. And he's like, I want to come over there and beat his ass. And then his girl that he was with was kind of like, Vinny, no. And she was like, kind of looked nervous. Where I was like, wait, is this something? Is this like a real thing? And like everyone there was like, no, he's fucking with you. And then I was like telling the story later to like my uncle, and he's like, he's drunk. You'll be fine. What? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, he's older, he's drunk.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, at what point of me hitting Vinny Pazienza do you think he'd be like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm like, there's no amount of like, he's a little older. He's had a couple cocktails.
Uncles are terrible for advice.
But
you're not their kid, so like, you figure it out. They give you like really abbreviated, shitty advice.
Yeah, it's like a nice idea that I'd be like, you'll be able to handle. I'm like, no, I think he would win. He's the fucking champion of the world at beating people up.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
It'd be a real problem for you.
Yeah, I would.
No matter how drunk he was.
Yeah, I wouldn't have fared well.
It's uncles. They're terrible with advice. Uncles are always buying you beer when you're too young. Yeah. They're always showing you things you shouldn't see.
Yeah, but it's fun to be one.
Yeah, I'm an uncle.
Yeah, me too.
Do you like being you plan on shooting loads into the missus and having a real person?
No, I mean, I plan on shooting loads into her, but I don't think so. My wife's a comedian as well.
Oh,
and
she doesn't want to have a kid.
No, we're a little older. I mean, she's older. I'm 37. She's 41. And someone's career has to be sacrificed quite a bit, I think, to have a kid.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
And like as of right now, which it could change any time, I'm making more money on the road. Like, that's the majority of our money. So it'd have to be like, I got to keep going on the road.
Right.
So, and then we're in New York, and, it's hard to have a child. And they're very expensive, as you know.
They're very expensive, and New York is a weird place to raise a child. It's just weird. I have friends who raise their kids in New York, and they're like, we love it. The kids love it. We let them go wander around the streets. Like, all right.
Do they go to, like, private school and shit? Because I feel like...
No, they go to public.
The idea of like your 9-year-old on the subway is terrifying. Again, like with anxiety.
Right. Yeah.
Every moment I'd be like, my kid is getting abducted right now.
Well, you never know. Like you could get a subway where everybody's cool, or you could get a subway where there's a crazy person and you're trapped in a tube with a crazy person.
Yeah.
It's one of the more interesting things about rolling the dice with the New York City subway is that you're just entering into a closed environment where you cannot escape for a prolonged period of time with people that you don't know. And most people are cool.
Yeah.
Most people just want to get to their job or their house or wherever they're going. But every now and then, like I met a dude. Do you remember there was a knife attack on a subway where a guy had killed a couple of people and cut one guy up, and the guy disarmed him from some moves that he learned in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, watching it on TV?
No.
Yeah, I met him. He had these giant cuts on his head. It was really intense, man.
Yeah, I would not do well. I would just be like, yeah, just cut me up. I hate myself.
Well, I guess when you're in that sort of life or death situation, it's just becomes your survival mode kicks in. Like you don't even know what you're doing.
Right.
Like I've talked to people that have been attacked by animals, and they say that it's just you can't even imagine how reptilian your reaction is.
Right.
There's no rational thinking at all. It's like 100% just DNA firing the switches for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was on the subway a couple years ago, and it was empty. I was on like the back of the train, and it was just me sitting there, and then there was like a guy sleeping on the other end, like he was passed out or whatever. And then there's like 6 hooligan, like young teenager, like they were acting all crazy. And they got on the train on that end of the train, and they were like spitting on the guy, and they were like, "Wake up!" They were screaming, but the guy was like, he was obviously drunk, whatever. And they were like hawking loogies on him and stuff, and like jumping up and down. And so I was just looking at my phone because it was a bad situation, unpleasant. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of turned and focused towards me, and they were like, "Hey, you fucking faggot! Look up from your phone." And then I just didn't. I kept ignoring them. And then one guy was like, "I'm gonna kill you if you don't look over here." And then the other guy was like, "I'll kill you if you keep looking at your phone." And I was like shitting my pants. And this is between Queensboro Plaza and Lexington Avenue, which is a pretty long underground station. It was like doing the thing where it was like delayed. So it was probably like, realistically, it was like 4 or 5 minutes. But I was like shitting my pants. And there's 6 of them. They were probably like early 20s, late teens. I have no fighting training or no weapon, where I was like, this is a bad situation. Like 6 people, you're like, I'm not gonna. I have no.
6 people's a problem.
6 people is a problem. I appreciate you saying it because a lot of people are like, I would have busted up the biggest guy or whatever the fuck, and you're like, dude,
a tangle of arms and legs. 6 people's a real problem. The only thing that would save you though is that you're in a subway, and what by that is they're not going to surround you, right? If you just put your back to the wall, there's 6 people. As they come towards you, they have to kind of come towards you almost single file.
I suppose so, yeah.
There's not a lot of room. You can get like 2 at a time. But you could crack one, and if you crack one, most of them will start panicking. Most people don't know how to fight. If you smash one guy's face in, and he goes unconscious, and then the other guys are there, and you start moving in on them, they have this anxiety attack, they start freaking, unless they know how to fight. And I doubt they do, because people who know how to fight, they don't do things like that.
Right.
It's very, very rarely do you run into thugs that actually know how to fight.
But that's the problem is most people don't know how to fight. Yeah. I'm one of those most of the people.
Yeah.
So the smashing in the face, I mean, I know how to throw a punch.
But I'm saying even for anybody, even for a trained fighter, if you're in a subway with 6 guys, it's not good.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if you really know how to fight, if you're like a world champion, you got to go, God damn it. Because you could always break your hand with the first punch. That shit happens all the time.
Yeah, it was unpleasant, I would say. But that
sucks,
can happen.
Man.
I mean, after that, I was like, maybe I shouldn't get on the last train. At least give yourself a chance to go one. It was early. I was on my way to the show in the city. It was like 8 o'clock, 7:30.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't think they were leaving dry. I think they were just...
assholes.
Yeah, just being wild or whatever. Wildin', I think is the term.
Were they Italian?
They were not. They were of Latino descent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Racist.
I am describing what I think a very PC.
No, the way you said it, it was clear. You're demeaning.
I think Latino is good. Or is it Hispanic? I think Hispanic is bad because it's in reference directly to Spanish. So Latino is better. But that could be in reference to Latin America.
I'm tired
I don't know.
of that. That's all. They can suck my dick. I'm tired of it. I really am.
Yeah, fuck you, Latinos.
Stop. I'm trying to figure out what your name is. All right?
Joe.
Yeah, but I mean, in that situation, I mean, you can't just decide that something that people used forever is all of a sudden racist. Like, here's a weird one, and I don't know why this is. You can't say Chinaman, but you can say Englishman.
I think a lot of it has to do with because the Chinese were enslaved. Is that right? They built the railroads?
Yeah,
Is that something?
That probably has something to do with it. But you can say Irishman, and the Irish were enslaved.
There you go. So that defeats that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm just guessing. This is not my...
The Irish were not enslaved here. I mean, there was some Irish people that came over that did indentured servitude. I'm sure, actually, now that I am reading, I did read something about Irish slaves. But in comparison to African slaves, it's not even close.
Yeah. I don't know much about that Irish thing, but I know that... Black people, African-American people get upset when you say, but the Irish were enslaved.
Yeah,
all I know is they don't like
that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not into that argument.
Yeah, it's a terrible argument.
It doesn't seem like a great one.
There's not a lot of pictures of the Irish slaves that built America.
Yeah, and I think a lot also came voluntarily or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, my grandparents. My grandfather on my father's side came from Ireland.
I think my great-grandparents.
Yeah, imagine being one of those people from the 1920s. It's like, fuck it. I'm taking a chance. I'm going to get on a fucking boat and travel across the ocean. Like, only like 50 years after pictures were made.
Yeah, it's insane. I think about that all the time when I watch Godfather Part 2. The whole time I'm like, yeah, go get him, little buddy. And then he fucking stays like the most powerful guy in the city. Yeah. Whatever.
But it's just, there's no place like that now where people just can go.
Well, that's here still, isn't it?
But it's not, though. It's fucking hard. Like, it's hard if you're Canadian. If you're Canadian, it's hard to get over here.
Yeah.
And we're connected. Like, they make it real hard for Canadians to move here.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, I know a lot of Canadian comedians, and they have to, like, prove... The whole idea is hilarious of a comedian trying to prove they're necessary in America. It's just a comical idea.
It is funny.
They're like, can you guys write me letters that says we need more jokes? In New York?
I think we need more comedians always. I think there's a finite resource of comedians.
Well, we need more quality comedians. Well, there's plenty of comedians.
You never know. Like, I knew guys that sucked, man, for years. And I used to have this thought, either you're funny or you're not funny. Yeah. And if you're funny, you can get funnier.
Right.
But I knew guys that used to eat shit.
Wow.
And now they're murderers.
It keeps coming back to Ari.
Oh, no, not
I'm
Ari.
kidding.
No, Ari.
I'm zinging.
Ari was always funny. He always had something. Like, he was never as funny as he is now, but he always had something. He was always like, this guy's going to make it.
Yeah, it is interesting when people kind of figure it out. But I think a lot of those people, they're trying to be what they think is supposed to be funny, and eventually they figure out to just be themselves, and that's how it kind of...
I think you're right.
Like they're trying to do Seinfeld or something, and then after a while, somebody along the way goes, hey, just tell the thing you said in the car.
Right.
I got friends like that never made that flip, like friends from Boston, that comics, that have like the biggest disparity in funny offstage to funny onstage of anybody, where it's puzzling. Where I'm like, you're the funniest person I've ever met, and you've been eating shit for 20 years. And it's like, why? How does that not
That used to be
translate?
Joey Diaz.
Interesting.
Joey Diaz is the funniest guy I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody funnier. And Joey Diaz, when he first started out, I didn't meet him when he first started out. I met him, I probably met him 4 years into his career. I met him in 95, I think, or 96, somewhere around then. And he just couldn't figure it out on stage. And then around 98, I used to take him with me on the road. Around 98, he just caught this wave. And I'm saying within like 6 months, he went from having rough sets to fucking annihilating.
Wow.
He also gained, during that time, at least 80 pounds.
Maybe fat's funnier.
He just didn't give a fuck anymore. Like something clicked where he didn't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
He started eating whatever he wanted to eat. He was partying like a madman, and he would go on stage just didn't give a fuck, and he was so funny. It's like he figured out the formula. He was trying to do the actor thing. He got sucked into that thing that we were talking about, where you want to get on sitcoms, you want to get auditions, you're going out for movies, and then after a while, he just got fucked over too many times and dealt with too many people, and he realized that he was like kind of tailoring his act for those assholes.
Yeah, I love those moments in any artist, with music or whatever it is. All I know is music and comedy, really. But when they fucking finally get into that, in the rhythm of like figuring out who they are and what they are, and then you're like, oh wow, this is special to watch.
Yeah, it's cool to watch too for like a person who's trying to do it themselves, because you see all the elements and the qualities that they've sort of embraced that have helped them, like the authenticity and their real thoughts, and and what their honest self-deprecation and all the things that you see that just sort of fall into place. And then you can kind of examine your own self.
Right. Yeah, maybe I can do that.
Well, that's the thing about comedy, I think, is like we don't exist in a vacuum. We all influence each other.
Right.
Sometimes too much, like people do the Attell voice.
Yes.
There's so many guys that do that voice.
Yes.
And it's ruthless when you see people doing it. Like, God, you got to pull them aside and go, hey, man, I'm an Attell fan too, which
right.
Got to back off the Attell voice.
Yeah, that happens. It goes in waves too. Remember when I was like in the early 2000s, it was a lot of Dane. People were doing a lot of Dane. I used to say ADI was my term of another Dane impression. There'd be all these guys that walk out and they're holding the mic in an impractical way. It works for him, but they're kind of like and doing these weird movements, and you're like, I think that's kind of his thing.
Cute young guys, and they're trying to put on baseball hats everywhere they go.
Yeah. And they come up with their own way to do a handstand on the stool.
Dane got mad at a guy once because he was wearing a Boston hat.
Oh, interesting.
He's like, that's my thing.
Oh, wow.
I wear a Boston hat.
I'm wearing a Bruins shirt. I hope that's okay.
I don't know, man. You got to check in. Come to this town.
I'll send him an email.
Are you from Boston?
I'm from Whitman, Massachusetts.
No
but I
shit.
started there. I was there for years, yeah.
Oh, I'm from Newton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot of comics from Newton.
Really?
Well, not a lot. John Fish. I don't know if you know John.
No.
He's a New York guy. And then Louis. So that's 3. But 3 is a lot to come from a relatively small town.
Newton's a weird spot. It's like, it's idyllic. If you go there right now, it's like, it's beautiful. Cute, sweet little town.
Yeah.
When I was growing up there, it just seemed like a frozen shithole.
It was, I think, I could be wrong on this. I think Newton was once labeled the safest town in America. They had gone the longest distance without a murder. Or I think they were basing it off murder or some crime. And then shortly after that, somebody was killed. It was like they jinxed it. Yeah,
they probably wanted to set the record.
Yeah, and then
someone wanted to be the person to break it.
Yeah, someone was like, fuck that. And then they murdered. But
it's a good place.
Yeah.
It's nice. Boston's a great place to grow up, but I think it wears on you. All my friends who live there, when I still have a few buddies that live there, and I talk to them like, man, I don't know how many more winters I can fucking take.
Yeah,
these winters.
I got a buddy that just moved to He's moving to Key West July 1st, and he's like, I'm tired of shoveling, and it's a hard city. People are fucking angry, and the traffic, and there's like inferiority complexes. Yeah, it's a great place to, I think, influence you, and then you got to get the hell out of there.
It's a horrible place to date.
I did date there, but not.
That accent, you find a woman with that accent, it's a boner killer.
It's not a pleasant accent on a woman. Yeah, it's not good.
On a dude, it's fun. I hear a dude with that accent, I said, that'd be a good guy to drink with.
Yes.
Listen to him.
I agree. There's most definitely a double standard with that. What accent are you turned on by?
Southern.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Texas.
Yeah.
Woo! That's the best.
Yeah.
Australian. I like Australian.
I like Irish.
I like English. I like Irish.
Australian women. I've only had sex with 2 Australian women in my life, but both.
Stop bragging, bro.
But both. This is it. Well, it's going to get worse. Both women individually requested that I come on their face.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's an Australian thing. I'd have to call in if you're an Australian woman.
Must have something to do with the lack of sunscreen out there. You know, they have a hole in the ozone layer.
That's true.
She's looking for a coating.
But 100% of Australian women, as far as I've tested, enjoy
a load in the mug.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think if you were a girl, you'd like a guy to come in your face?
I've talked about this before. I think if I was a girl, I would be a fucking wild animal. Yeah, I'd be cum in my eyes. Because I'm a man and I want cum in my face, you know.
So imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd be
just running around.
Yeah,
tramping it up.
All the dicks.
Giving everybody something.
Yeah.
Some kind of disease.
And I got stuff to give them, too.
Do you got a bunch of them?
I had HPV. That goes away. Like I got married.
How's it go away?
HPV goes away.
No, you still have it.
It does.
You shoot a dirty load into someone, you can give it to them still.
Well, I believe I could have got bad info from my ENT, but I had.
Pretty sure you did. Pretty sure you keep that shit.
Can we look this up over here? I think HPV does go away if you stop having sexual intercourse with different people.
Oh, but I think it goes away for you, but I think it's still in your blood, and I think you can still give it to people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
well,
so don't be lying to people when you're shooting now.
Well, I only have sex with one person.
Jamie just put his finger up.
I knew it.
Just from the quick response.
In most cases, HPV goes away on its own. It does not cause any health problems. But when HPV does not go away, it causes health problems like genital warts and cancer. A healthcare provider can usually diagnose warts by looking at the genital area. What?
Yeah.
We got a fucking healthcare provider can usually diagnose warts by looking at them.
Yeah, you can also do that. Comedians can also diagnose
you can see warts. You go, oh, that's a dick wart. Interesting.
Yeah, I had that. I went to Planned Parenthood, who do more than abortions. They'll take your warts right off. They put a little thing on there, and boom.
Here it says there are currently no cure for existing HPV infection, but for most people, it would be cleared by their own immune system, and there are treatments available for the symptoms it can cause. You can get the HPV vaccine. Oh, they have a vaccine now.
That's only for young people, though. We're too old.
Problems, apparently.
Causes problems?
Yeah.
What does it do?
I don't know exactly.
What did it do to you? Don't lie.
I did not get it.
You got it,
They
bro.
just started giving it out recently, I think, in the last, maybe less than 10 years.
But you got to you got to get it, before you're 18.
What if it makes you really horny?
That'd be ideal, right?
I don't know.
If it cures it.
I guess, if it cures it.
But I had that, so it does go away.
Did you ever hear there's a story about a drug called Re-Equip, and it was a medication for Parkinson's disease. And GlaxoSmithKline lost a judgment in court. I think it was in the tune of $600,000 American, because it turned a guy into a gay sex and gambling addict. All he wanted to do was hook up with guys online and gamble. And it can't, but listen, I know it sounds crazy, but they lost the lawsuit. Like a pharmaceutical drug company lost the lawsuit, and the jury awarded this guy more than $500,000.
How did he prove that all he wants to do is fuck guys?
That's a good question. But they did. They proved it to the point where this guy won money because he never had any problems like this before. Took his Parkinson's medication, and it just short-circuited his brain. He started sucking dick and rolling the dice.
I'm going to sue Starbucks. I've been drinking their tea, and now I want to get Come on.
Game on.
They can't prove I don't want to be cummed on.
It's something about their tea. It's not organic. There's fucking Roundup in their tea.
Yeah, something's up, but I want some loads.
Well, they're starting to pass out lawsuits against glyphosate. Speaking of that, Roundup, that fucking that shit, $2 billion, and another guy got $5 million. Well, he needs a better lawyer, right? Because his lawyer got him $5 million. The other people's lawyers got him billions.
What's the drug?
Oh, it's not a drug. It's Roundup. It's that weed killer shit.
Oh,
Monsanto weed killer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it gives people cancer, and they're finally passing down these massive judgments against Monsanto.
Wow.
Yeah, the weight of it all. See, Monsanto jury hits Monsanto with $2 billion judgment. But there was that one, and then there was another one for $5+ million. That guy's got to be pissed right now. How the fuck did I only get $5 million?
Now, $2 billion, is that exact, or are they rounding up? Hot dog. Count it.
You should open with that tonight at the Improv
I will.
on Hollywood.
Hey, folks, you hear about this this thing called Roundup?
Most people don't even know what it is.
No, I
Unless
didn't
like
know.
serious GMO haters. They're people that are like super organic and they don't want any pesticides in their food. That's one thing that people need to understand. If you're buying vegetables and you eat a lot of vegetables, it's very good for you. But man, there is a lot of fucking pesticides out there.
This is what's bumming me out. The more I do, because I always just ate garbage or whatever without thinking about it. Now, the more research I do, the more I'll read about, because I like to read health benefits of the food I'm eating while I'm eating it, because it makes it feel like, oh, all right, I'm doing something good.
Right.
But then the bottom of the page, like, if you eat too much broccoli, you'll shit your blood or whatever. There's always something, or there's pesticides or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, have you heard of a carnivore diet? You heard of that?
Sort of. I assume it's just meat.
It's just meat, just steak. And there's a lot of people that do it, and people with autoimmune issues have huge reactions, positive reactions.
Really?
Yeah, my friend, he was having receding gum disorder, went away, and they say that shit never goes away. He lost 50 pounds. Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
You know who that is?
Yeah.
He's on that carnivore diet. He's been on it over a year. Just got his blood work tested. A lot of people are like, you shouldn't even recommend that. It's so irresponsible. And there's arguments both ways, man. There's arguments that eating only vegetables is irresponsible because large-scale agriculture is like terrible for the environment. It displaces all this wildlife and animals, and in most cases they're using something to kill the weeds. In most cases they're using glyphosate or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, fruit to me is always like, that's healthy, and then people are like, oh, there's sugar and
There's
whatever.
fiber. Fruit's fine. There's nothing wrong with fruit. It's like everything else. If you eat too much fruit, if you eat like 10 oranges, your body's like, what the fuck, bro? But like if you drink orange juice, that's not good because your body's like, where is all the fiber? Like, what is this? What are you doing to me? Like, why are you making me drink this sugar water?
Yeah.
If you drink a 12-ounce glass of orange juice, let's guess. How many grams of sugar do you think is in a 12-ounce glass of orange juice?
I don't know. I'm not good with this. I would say, can you give me some scale? Like, how much sugar is in a Coca-Cola?
I wish I knew.
Fuck.
I'm gonna say
500.
No. So okay, here's a good scale. Like I saw one of those Gatorades, but not a Gatorade. It was a smart drink that had some fucking flavor to it or something like that. You know, one of those. But it was 27 grams of sugar.
Okay.
And I looked at that, I was like, Jesus, that's a lot of fucking sugar.
So I'd say orange juice is more than that.
Yeah, I would say it's got 35. I'd say 35.
Okay. I'll say 48.
Damn, he's going crazy. What do you say, Jamie?
For some reason, this thing won't do the math right, but in 1 ounce, there's 2.6, so times 12, it's roughly 30, because it's 24 times the 1 plus the 6, so it's something like that.
Something like 30. Yeah, so around there. Yeah, it's a lot of sugar.
Not 48, though.
No,
Fuck
not.
me.
Yeah, you're only supposed to, like, for a healthy diet, I think you're supposed to be limited to 100 grams of sugar a day, and that's for an active person. Like, you really shouldn't fuck around with more than that.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I'm finally reaching the age where food becomes a situation. You got to start to.
Yeah, it's part of the problem, man. Yeah, as you get older, body starts to fucking fall apart on you, bro.
Yeah, my buddy, John Fish, who I mentioned earlier, he has a story about he went to his doctor, and his doctor was like, in your 30s, your body starts to break down, and in your 40s, your body starts to die. And he was waiting for him to, like, smile or laugh, but he was, like, just being serious.
Doctor's an asshole.
Yeah, it seems
that
like
doctor's wife right now is fucking her personal trainer, and that guy's like super angry about it. That's probably what's going on there.
Yeah, I think he's a bad guy.
He's a terrible guy. Telling you that your body's dying. Listen, I'm alive, bitch. I'll fuck you up right now. I'll kill you.
Yeah, good
Tell
point.
me I'm alive and I'm dying.
Good point. Fuck that
Shut
guy.
up. Shut up, doctor. Dr. Dickwad. What kind of doctor is that?
I don't know, but there must
Super
be
negative?
some truth to that, though.
He specializes in negativity.
Yeah.
No, you're alive. Does it work as good as it does when you're 20? No. Does your fucking car work as good when it has 100,000 miles on it? No.
But I think what he's saying is that we're on the back end.
What he should have said is, duh. Everybody knows that.
Right.
If you live to be 100, at 40, you're fucking halfway there, basically.
Yeah, good point. And living to 100 is
Pretty
difficult.
awesome. Yeah, if you live to 100, man, you really did something.
Yeah.
And most people are not going to make that.
I'm gonna start trying.
To make it 100?
I wish that there was a thing that showed you when you're dying what tipped it
gotcha?
over.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're like, you had one too many Cokes in
jerked off too many
2007.
times.
Yeah.
They looked at all the times you jerked off. Imagine if, like here's an accounting of every time you jerked. You'd be like, no.
I think about this all the time. I wish we could do that because everything has all these stats now, like
Yeah.
baseball, whatever. I wish you could have all the shits you've taken, how many times you've wiped your ass, how many times you've jerked off, how many times you've had sex. Wouldn't it be fun to have all of those numbers?
It would. Why can't your phone do that?
It should be
Your
able
phone
to.
tells you how many steps you go.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
use my phone to track how far I run.
Exactly. So we should start doing. I guess we could type it into our phone.
Yeah, you could. You could add it up. You could have like an app. Every time you jerk off, you have to double tap it.
I feel like that would be a fun thing. I think we just invented something.
Yeah, it could be a good app. Like how many times you jerk off in a year? Jamie, how many times do you think you jerk
I
off?
don't know. I was just gonna say the Apple Watch might know because last time I got on the elliptical, it
Right.
knew I was on the elliptical within 2 minutes. It's like,
Really?
oh, do you want to track this elliptical workout? It's like, how the
Whoa.
you know that motion of the arm moving?
Is that what it is?
It's got to be because there's the
Well, that's interesting.
meter
That
in there.
MyZone's heart rate monitor thing that we were wearing for Sober October, that thing syncs up with my elliptical machine, and it shows the heart rate without me even holding onto the heart rate
that's
sensors.
just like Bluetooth though. That's pretty
Right,
easy.
but it did it without me
Yeah.
asking it.
Yeah,
It just did it.
it's close proximity.
I know, but it's pretty crazy that it did that. I
Wonder
was
what
like,
else
this
it's
is
connected
interesting.
to without
Dun
you
dun dun. The fucking government, man. Dun dun dun. Are you worried about your phone being tracked?
No, I have. For some reason, I've never cared that much. I know I should, and people talk about it, like the government watching us and tracking all the information. I don't. I'm
don't
too
worry
busy
about it.
worried about dying and if people like me or not.
I just assume they are.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like a like some fucking asshole that's like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong, so spy. But I just don't. It doesn't connect with me to be concerned about that.
Yeah, I don't think you sound like an asshole.
All right, because some people were like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. We want to get the terrorists and blah blah blah.
Yeah, those people are assholes, though.
Um,
The people that say that, like, what do you care if you're not doing anything wrong? That's how
Right.
tyranny starts, you weak bitch.
right.
You
Me?
get
Am I a
gunned.
weak bitch?
No, that guy.
I appreciate
This
that.
fake guy we're talking about. He needs to go get some fucking guns.
Yeah, like
Stand up for America. Venezuela, see what's going on in Venezuela, bro? They don't have any guns. It's true, actually.
yeah,
I mean, they're running over people in the street because people can't. It's hard to get guns in Venezuela.
that's another thing. Sometimes things just don't. Like I'll see that story and be like, huh, all right, and then I just move on.
You
Like-
can't register everything. There's no way. You'll never get any thought done. What's
Yeah.
up, Jamie? What do you got?
About the story of this guy in Holmby Hills, which is like the Beverly Hills area.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. He
1,000
had
guns.
more than 1,000 guns.
He
Yeah.
was making some of them,
He was making them.
not all of them.
But did he do anything, or did he just like guns?
I don't know
Because if they decided to arrest me,
tip or something.
if they
like that.
decided to arrest me, and they said, Joe Rogan has 5 bows and 150 arrows, like, who the fuck is he planning on killing? Right? They could do that.
But those are more.
firearm sales, I guess.
Those are less alarming numbers to me, though.
Bows.
150 arrows.
Right, right,
1,000 seems like a
1,000
lot.
guns. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things. You just get excited and you keep buying them. Acting on a tip regarding illegal firearm sales. Oh, okay. So he's selling guns. Guns were strewn throughout several of the home's rooms. Authorities said it took about 30 law enforcement personnel more than 12 hours to remove all the weapons. Goals. Gun goals. Photos and videos from the scene showed stacks of rifles. I have a buddy of mine who has so many guns he doesn't know how many guns he has.
That's impressive.
He's
That's like
a-
us with jerking off.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. He jerks off too, though. He's a real gun nut, like a legit gun nut. Like he does long range shooting. He enters into competitions and stuff where they shoot like, they shoot out to like 1,000+ yards.
I try to understand because I try to be a good empathetic person. I'm not a gun guy, and it's easy to be like, "What do you need guns, you fucking maniac?"
Right.
But then I'm like, I understand. Like I had thousands of baseball cards. I guess they're not killing machines, but I guess you get into something, and then you're like, "I want this gun," and then I want to try to get another gun, and then you get addicted to the purchasing of things.
Yeah, there's that, but it's also fun to shoot them. You go to a range. Like I went to a range with Duncan Trussell, who's basically a Buddhist and probably one of the most peaceful people I've ever met in my life, and super brilliant guy. And he's like, "This is so fun." He fucking loved it. We loved it. We're just shooting pieces of paper, out at a distance and clay pigeons and shit. It's fun.
That seems like fun, I guess.
Yeah. It's also sobering. Like when you pull the trigger on a rifle, boom, and you see that bullet hit that paper, and you're like, that is or metal too. You hear clink, when you're shooting at something.
And it's pretty instant, right?
Instant, yeah. I mean, when you get to longer distances, it's kind of interesting because you pull the trigger, boom, and then you hear dink. Like there's actually a lag time.
Right.
Boom, dink.
What kind of distance are we talking?
I've never shot anything further than like 400 yards, I think was the longest I shot anything at the range.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
That's a fucking huge range.
Yeah, it's 4 football fields. You have to set your scope for that, or at the very least, you have to understand the drop of your bullet. It's all about how fast your bullet's going. If you had a pencil and a bullet, right, one in each hand, and you dropped them both at the same time, they'll both fall exactly the same speed because it's the rate of gravity. So it's all a matter of how fast the bullet gets to the target,
right?
Because it's going to drop from the moment it comes out of the gun. It's dropping,
right? So
it's how fast is it going there is going to tell you how far it's going to drop. So if you know that, you set that. You can use ballistics, an application. You take that ballistics information, you put it into your phone, like 400 yards, 115 grains, whatever your bullet is, at a 300 Win Mag, whatever it is. You enter all that stuff in, and then it'll tell you exactly what to do in your scope, and then you turn it, and then bink, it'll go right in the center.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what those long-range dorks, they love it. They love it. They love shooting things that are really, really, really far.
I think they're called snipers.
Well, that's kind of... Yeah, but they're not really snipers. A lot of them are civilians.
Oh, they're just like
they just have long-range competitions.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. They have like a guy will be there with like super high-powered binoculars, like fucking these big-ass scope binoculars.
Yeah.
And they're like high left, and then they'll like calibrate, low right, and they'll calibrate, and they're just trying to like figure out.
Like that film Jarhead. Did you see that movie?
I did not.
Oh, it's good.
Isn't that
people
Jake
hated it? But I Jake Gyllenhaal. I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
I do too.
That's someone I would like to come on my face.
Did you see when he was in that movie when he played a boxer and he got super ripped?
I did not see that movie, but someone next to me on the plane was watching it, so I saw without.
Did you get hard?
Hearing it, I didn't. No.
Go look up Jake Gyllenhaal.
It was called
Southpaw.
Yes.
Yeah. He got super shredded.
Yeah, he's a great
Look at
actor.
That. Come on, son.
Yeah, that's something.
That is fucking jacked. I mean, that is about as shredded as a man gets. That guy worked hard to get that body.
No, he's amazing. He's great. Yeah. And that Zodiac is one of my favorite movies. Brokeback Mountain, I love. And what's the one with Nightcrawler?
Yeah.
And then Prisoners was great too. I love that movie.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of great movies. He's an interesting cat.
He's good.
Yeah, there's certain people that like you just want to see them act. Isn't that weird?
Yes.
Like they have a thing.
Yeah.
And then certain people that you're like, enough of this fucking guy.
Yeah, there's some people that are famous actors that you're like, how did this guy get in? I don't understand what.
Drop some names.
Who decided? Cage. Well, I'm afraid this podcast is too big. These people could be listening.
It could be.
But
Fuck
yeah, that's
them,
what.
Some people got to sacrifice.
There's a couple guys whose name I don't know, but I just see him, and then like my wife will just, I'm sorry, I didn't know he was in this, and I'm like, thank you. There's a couple actors that you're like, this guy sucks, and he's just a guy. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But most of them are great. I feel like most people that are doing well are pretty good.
Yeah.
And acting.
Well, that's what we would hope. See, this is the thing that's I hope comes out of this whole Me Too movement, besides these criminals getting busted, is that it changes the whole, this like, there's a sort of the way there's an ecosystem out here. And I've seen it with women too. Like there was a woman casting agent that I knew that fucked all these men and would get them parts, and she was gross and she was really aggressive. She tried to fuck my buddy. She tried to fuck 2 of my buddies.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And
She sounds nice to me. I kind of like her.
She's foul.
All right.
She got bad breath. Everything's wrong.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take your word for
This
it.
is a long time ago. She's probably dead. She probably got HPV and she just died.
It didn't go away.
Yeah, it didn't go away. but I mean, I've seen it. I've seen aggressive women. It's not as many, obviously, but
Yeah.
but that people would be judged on their merits because it's, and not just, see, it's not out here, like when you're acting and trying to audition, it's not just sexual favors. It's also political leanings, and like they'll ask you questions about things. Everyone falls in line
Right.
with whatever the ideology that you're supposed to adopt in order to be accepted by this community. Like, so they're really looking for people to say the right things and do the right things. They want you to, like, it's not a coincidence that everyone in Hollywood is progressive, that everyone in Hollywood, you know, is super liberal and super left wing. It's an act for a lot of them. For a good percentage of people out here, it's a fucking act.
Right.
It's a thing that gets you attention and credit.
But couldn't it be part of it? I mean, I don't disagree, but I do think a lot of people that are naturally artistic, they
Yes.
become open-minded, and then
For
they end
sure.
up going to places where they're very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And part of becoming progressive, I think, is meeting a lot of these people that are, gay people and Muslim people and trans people, and then you go, oh, these people are just like me, blah, blah, blah. I'm
For sure.
progressive.
Yeah, there's
That's
that
got to
too.
be part of it.
There's that too. But there's such a prevalence of fake humans that you got to
Yeah.
realize that like most of these people have no opinions. They're not real opinions. Like
Right.
what they're doing is they're just sort of spouting out this predetermined pattern of behavior that they feel like would be accepted.
Yes. Oh, for sure. And I think, it's set up that way.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, I'm basically just saying what you just said.
Well, they just want it so bad. They
Right.
want it so bad.
Yeah. Well, that's the danger of being motivated by fame and
Yeah.
success.
It's so bad.
That's where I think what helps a lot of comedians is it starts off, the seed is not fame or fortune. It's like, I want to be as funny as I want to bring as much joy to the audience as I
Yeah.
can. And so as long as you can keep that, you end up being a pretty decent person and a good artist.
Yeah, you just want to kill.
Yeah.
But the thing about, there's some traps in that too, right? And this is one of the traps that leads to people stealing material, is that you just want to kill. You want to kill. You want to feel that feeling.
Right.
So you want it. It's not that you want the audience to have it. It's like you want to kill.
Right.
Like, and the way you kills, they have a great time. But you will do that at any cost. So you take other people's work and try to pawn it off at your own as your own. You pretend to be someone you're not,
Right.
so that they'll like you more. So that you'll kill louder.
I'm afraid someone's going to take this clip where you keep saying you and it's just showing me being like, I'm sorry.
Someone's definitely
Not
going to
me.
do that.
This is like a Colin Quinn used to have that old joke. He's like,
Yeah.
someone tells you the story and they use you as, he's like, you're telling me you sleep with kids and you think that's okay? And he's like, not me. I'm not the guy. But yeah,
That is a weird thing that people do.
The desire
So
to
you're
kill.
telling me you think it's okay to rob old ladies?
Yeah, and there's
Get
people
the
walking
fuck
by,
out
I'm
of
like-
here. Like, I didn't say that. No, I know you didn't say that.
yeah, but they
I'm
don't
saying,
hear that part.
These fucking guys who rob old ladies.
But yeah, that definitely is. But I try to be in tune with that too, like in a meditative way of that, like, because you get so, as a comedian, you get so obsessed with just like the sound of killing and wanting to kill that you forget that they're actually a group of human beings.
Right.
And then you're like, the goal is to bring joy to the people, that you're actually
yes.
trying to get laughs and trying to feel the joy of providing joy. As
Yes.
opposed to just like, if I kill, I'll get on TV, and if I get on TV, I can pitch my show. I try to kind of organically walk it back to the room in the moment of making these people here laugh.
That's a great attitude. But I think New York is better in that regard, in that there's not really a lot of industry.
Right.
It's really just about killing. It's just about being funny, about
Yeah.
doing well.
It feels like a lot of the motivation in New York is to kill so you'll get more cellar spots the next week,
Yes.
as opposed to I'll kill so I can get in the room with True TV or whatever.
Right. Yeah, you don't want that. I'm hoping that goes away, and I think it is. That's one thing that's kind of reinvigorated the Los Angeles scene, is actually the death of jobs. Believe it or not, like there's no jobs for comedians anymore other than being a comedian.
Right.
So also because of podcasts and the internet, because people can put their clips up on YouTube and because people can do things on the internet, there is no longer like the really important stuff for your career is no longer held by these gatekeepers, like the network executives that are constantly. They're never there anyway. Like if you get a show approved by a network executive, there's a real good shot that in 6 months that person won't be there anymore.
Right.
Real good shot.
Yeah, that's like that. It feels like in the whole industry. So many bookers in comedy starting out, you try to impress this booker or get in with them, or you're like kind of hanging out and like having a beer, and then next thing you know, they're like in accounting. They're not even in the business anymore.
The good thing about today, though, is there's more camaraderie amongst comedians than ever before. And there's more support amongst comedians because comedians do each other's podcasts.
Right.
And on the podcast, you'll talk about each other. And sometimes it's bad, like how we're shitting on Ari Shaffir, because I'm fucking really tired of Ari. Aren't you?
I'm not. But, you've known him a lot longer. You know,
I love him. I'm just kidding. But I mean, sometimes it is bad though. If someone gets exposed, if someone like someone does piss you off, or someone is doing something unethical, and you find out about it through a podcast. But for the most part, most comedians in these podcasts are being like super supportive.
Yeah, no, it's the best. I mean, I think most things I've gotten in my career are from other comedians.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, I think that's real normal. And it's normal East Coast and West Coast. And it didn't used to be like that. There wasn't this like really super supportive community out there anymore. But there wasn't always, I think it's the podcast thing. I really do, because so many people have podcasts now.
Yeah. Well, it's also contagious when someone does so much for you and brings you on the road and buys you lunch and tweets your shit. You're like, oh, I want to do that for somebody. And so then it keeps propelling forward. It's a good feeling. It's nice to be nice to the nice, as they say.
It's a great feeling. And you really get to know, like, Ari's podcast is one of my favorite podcasts because you get to know him in his podcast. Like he'll do an intro that's 40 minutes long for a conversation. Yeah. And it's him stoned, wandering around his apartment, cooking salmon and talking about it and talking about this and that and something that sucks and this is stupid and that's great. And, it's like you get to hear him. You know?
No, Ari's a special, not to sound like a fucking fruitcake, but he's a special human being. I love that guy. Yeah,
you know what I love about him more than anything is, I love a lot of things about him, but he figured out who he was and got successful. And when he got successful, he gave zero fucks. Once he got successful, he's like, okay, I've got a couple $100,000 in the bank. You can all suck my ass.
Yeah.
and he doesn't compromise anything.
Yeah. And he takes care of people in a way that I'm like, I'm concerned about your finance. Like he'll do a show and split the door evenly with everybody. And I'm like, you should take the money. You sold it out. You hosted the show. You produced the show. Like I've done his storytelling show and he's like, here's $860. And I told like an 8-minute story and didn't even do great. I'm like, I'm sorry, that sucked. He's like, whatever, here's $900. And you're like, okay, like you could have paid me $100. It's like a Tuesday and I would have blown you. But that's the way he is.
As long as you come in my face, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to swallow that Jew load. But then I've produced a show with him. We did a show together, and that's when it fucks you, the splitting the money, where I'm like, I don't want to fucking split the money.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that does fuck you, especially if it's your show.
But no, he's a great guy. We just went out and hiked in Mount Zion. And
is that Utah?
Zion National. Maybe I might have made the mount part up.
Zion National Forest?
Yeah. I don't know if there's a mount involved.
Is that Utah?
In Utah, yeah. But he like paid for the Airbnb.
Isn't that the crazy place where all the fucking has the wild like rock formations and shit? Is that what I'm thinking about?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But he got this like Airbnb that was like 7 bedrooms and a hot tub, and he paid for the whole thing.
Damn.
And then I got this Reflux thing, so we made all this special food just for me. And
is that you guys?
That's us right there.
Look at that.
That's Mike Vecchione and my wife Sarah Talamash and myself.
Did you see any mountain lions or any crazy shit when you're out there?
We saw nothing crazy. I mean, it was beautiful and amazing, but nothing insane.
It is beautiful.
That was the house he got. It was like this
Airbnb.
It's like a retreat for like all these crazy drums in there and big fireplace, indoor, outdoor. It was pretty unbelievable.
The weird thing about Airbnbs is you find like little fucking webcams where people are watching you 24/7. Wow, that's the backyard?
That's the back porch, yeah.
Fuck. That view's amazing.
Yeah,
Holy
it was incredible.
shit.
And then the next day, my wife and I drove to Sunnyvale, California. We all said goodbye. I was going to do Rooster Teeth Feathers.
Ooh.
And we went to the mall to eat, and all of our shit got robbed. Everything I'm wearing, everything she's wearing is stolen. We had
What
this big, like, meditative Zion hiking 3 days together. And you just feel like, man, fucking life, bro. And then we went to the Cheesecake Factory. I was starving. I'm like, I got to eat something. And we came out, and 100% of our luggage and computers were stolen.
Out of your car?
Yeah, which I guess is an epidemic in the, what's that called? Silicon Valley.
Really?
Huge. San Jose, San Francisco, to the point where the cops were like, oh, yeah, all right, take care.
Did they break into your car?
I guess they went into the trunk, but I thought maybe I didn't lock the door, but a bunch of people have tweeted at me saying they have like fucking decoder things. They can just get into cars now.
Jesus
And
Christ.
they prey on rental cars because they know you have suitcases and shit. They see that little no smoking thing.
Oh, and that's a thing in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so that after that happened, we noticed every restaurant we'd go to would see at least like one business guy eating with a suitcase next to him. We're like, you got to bring your shit inside.
Ugh.
But it was brutal.
Silicon Valley is a weird spot because you have all these really rich people and then you have a fucking army of homeless folks.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like America and
Does
getting
a
more
little
and
bit.
more that way.
Somebody was telling me this. Jamie, find out if this is true because someone was telling me that there's a woman that I know that lives out here, and she was saying that they bust them in from other cities. They take their homeless people and give them one-way tickets to Los Angeles.
I heard that with Hawaii. Is that what you said?
No.
Oh, I heard that happens in Hawaii. They fly them to Los Angeles.
That's a good move. If you're in Hawaii, good luck getting a ticket back, you fuck.
Yeah, but
But if you bust them, they could always get back.
Yeah,
They're on the same piece of ground.
right.
It's not as effective.
That's a good
They
point.
should fly them to Hawaii. That's
Yeah,
what
we
LA should do.
Send them back, yeah.
Yeah, save a lot of money.
And I think that's
Get
like,
a few jumbo jets. Get one of them A37s that tends to crash.
and make it a, I think you should make it a night, like a fucking private, like a
Yes.
Air Force One with his like food and, you know, foot
Lure 'em
massager.
in.
And then they're like, oh, wow, this is going to be great. And then you're like, no, it ain't.
Yeah, you fly them into Molokai. That's that island that they used to send the lepers.
So there's an article I just found that was done by The Guardian in 2017. Seems like a pretty long, in-depth article. It doesn't say they're being bused specifically to Los Angeles, but this one, the example they're giving is a ticket purchased to this guy by the city of San Francisco. And I think this was sending him to Indianapolis. So he went
What?
2,300 miles the other way.
How weird is that? That should be so illegal to
Yeah.
not take care of your homeless problem, but rather to send them. He traveled 2,275 miles over 3 days to reach his destination in Indianapolis and then freeze to death. You imagine you go from San Francisco to Indianapolis and you don't have the proper footwear?
That sucks.
Cities have been offering homeless people free bus tickets to relocate elsewhere for at least 3 decades. What? That is gross.
Well, if you're just offering them a ticket,
Yeah, but
that's not so bad.
until now, there's never been a systematic nationwide assessment of the consequences. Where are these people being moved to? What is the impact those programs are having on the cities that send and the cities that receive them? And what happens to these homeless people after they reach their destination? Well, the best example of that was that Wild Wild Country documentary. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, they took over a fucking town with homeless folks.
Yeah, that was one of those ones. Every cult thing I watched, the first like half hour, I'm like, this seems pretty nice. I'm kind of into this. Yeah, like this sounds kind of awesome. And then slowly you're like, oh, maybe it's not
They're
great.
poisoning people. Fuck. If it
Even the
wasn't for Sheila-
Scientology was like that.
Yeah?
Like I was watching like a half hour and I was like, I kind of am into this religion.
Which one? Going Clear?
The HBO, the
Lawrence Wright one?
Alex
Yeah.
Gibney, I think, made that.
Yeah, it's Lawrence Wright's book.
Okay.
Going Clear. Yeah, the book is even more bizarre because it gets obviously like way more into depth about how crazy L. Ron Hubbard was and what he essentially did and how he started this whole thing. And he was self-analyzing. He was trying to heal himself because he was fucking crazy.
Right.
And along the way, he got really into psychology and self-help books, and then was quoted saying, if you want to make real money, you start a religion, and then started a religion.
Yeah, well, he's not wrong.
He was right.
Yeah, he did all right.
Watch this graphic that they used on here. I have to scroll down and make it activate, but it shows their data showing all these homeless people getting sent around the country.
Whoa.
And it shows them just like as little dots getting
So
moved
they're
around.
sending them from Los Angeles and New York primarily. Look at that.
little
All over.
loads, little
Yeah,
sperms.
this is by year. I can't show the whole graphics because we can't
That
see it.
is crazy.
But yeah, it's like
What is that burst? Is that burst from, is that Southern California?
Right here,
That
yeah.
looks like San Francisco.
San Francisco would be up here. This would be LA and like San Diego.
But Florida seems to have the
It
most.
started in Florida. This graphic starts out in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. It's
The
warm.
hurricanes, I think, too, was around that time period when they got smashed in 2010.
Oh, yeah.
I like the idea of all the ones passing each other, though. Like there's two homeless guys passing each other like ships in the night.
Here's where you don't see them land. Texas. Texas doesn't give a fuck. They'll just shoot you. They'll shoot you. They have a hole for homeless people like they have out in the desert.
Why not like Wyoming? They don't have enough people up there anyways.
Cold. Bears. It's hard to live up there. They're just not interested in taking in your homeless. Yeah, by the time you get to be a certain age and you're homeless, I guess you just have to accept the fact that this is just life. This is the life
Yeah, it seems unpleasant. I enjoy having a home, personally.
Me too.
I like
recommend it.
Yeah, I like going in there.
I recommend one with a lock
Yeah, that's the best.
so you could sleep.
Yeah,
Do you like living in New York?
I love it. Yeah, but I'm on the road so much that it's ideal. Where I'm never home for really more than like 10 days, which with New York is ideal.
You ever think about moving out here?
Not really. I mean, yeah, the answer is yes, but I don't think I will because I'm like a road dog. So
Right.
LA is tough because you're behind the 8 ball with the time. Like you're 3 hours behind most of the markets.
Oh, for flights? and
Yeah,
shit?
so you got to get up
Yeah.
at like 6 a.m. or leave the day before. And I like the Comedy Cellar. I like being there. I like doing those like quality spots, and you can kind of do multiple. My family's in New England. I like going home to see them. And
Do you work when you're in New England as well?
yeah,
What do you do? Like Laugh Boston?
I do Laugh
It's a
Boston.
great spot.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I'm there at some point. November, like Thanksgiving or
There
something.
used to be 100 fucking comedy clubs in Boston. There used to be so many, and now there's just Laugh Boston. And like, what else? There's the Wilbur.
Yeah, the Wilbur
Nick's
and
Comedy Stop's still around.
Nick's is still around. Yeah,
That's crazy that place is still around.
yeah, that's been there forever. But
I used to work there 30 years ago.
that's amazing. I worked there 18 years ago.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, the Comedy Connection was like my home. You did that in Faneuil Hall, right?
Yeah, that was amazing. Is that where you started?
Yeah, I started at a place called Chops Lounge, which was like a true open mic where it was like street people and fucking people that had been bussed in from San Francisco. It was like a sign up and go on, and there'd be like a mixture of comics and then just weirdos. And so I started there, and then I went, eventually the Comedy Connection, I started working there. But that's where I first started opening for people and doing like real comedy work. And it kind of spawned from there.
You know what? I mean, it's weird for us, but you know who it's really weird for? It's really weird if you try to like do open mics and you're like a singer.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
It doesn't work well. It works terrible.
Yeah, well, there was comics that would go to like music open mics. I mean, there are music open mics, right?
I guess. I went to a poetry slam open mic once.
I've been to comedy shows that feel like poetry slams.
Well, in New York, you get a lot of that now, right?
Where you're just like, what?
I heard there's a lot of like really ridiculous sort of like woke comedy being performed.
Yeah, definitely. There's a thing where it's now become oddly hacky. They don't realize that you're like, well, this is now hack.
Right.
Where you're like, Trump or white male privilege,
Yeah.
which I'm like, yeah, I understand it's an issue, whatever, but you're like, 7 other comics started their sentence with that same thing.
White
But they might be
male-
able to say that about me, saying sex jokes or whatever.
White male privilege is only a problem because of racism and because of sexism. If racism and sexism are out of the picture, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're a white male.
Right.
The problem is that some people are not white males. If you're a black woman and you encounter prejudice everywhere you go and discrimination everywhere you go, the problem is the discrimination. It's not Joe List being a white male. They've fucked the whole thing up.
Right.
Because they've really created resistance where there should be none. Because you've made people perpetrators when they've done nothing wrong. Like you just were born a white male. You got unlucky the same way, or you got lucky, I should say.
Depending on your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't ask to be born a black woman. Someone didn't ask to be born a Polynesian man. I mean, you
Right.
are who you are. You are. The real problem is people that care. The people that look at you and go, oh, it's a fucking white man. Great. That's what I want. The opinion of another white man. Like, that is the real problem. The real problem is that's sexism. That is what racism. And they
Right.
don't even think it is because they think you're white and you have white privilege. But you're discriminating based on something that someone has zero control over.
I agree.
It's fucking horseshit.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I'm tired of this.
I feel bad. And I was like, I'm just trying to tell my dick and shit jokes and get my $25 and get out of here.
Yeah.
But that's like I said, people can look at my act and be like, he's talking about dicks and shit.
I talk about all kinds of things. Sometimes dicks and shit too, though.
Yeah. Well, those are funny
Sometimes
things.
they need to be discussed.
Well, dicks and shits are funny.
Often.
Yeah. I have to like curb myself from having, I'm like, I got too many shit jokes now. This is like 12
How
minutes.
many you got?
I got a few. I got a chunk, but it's funny. Shitting's funny, you know?
But it's sometimes you just get on a run where that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, well, also, once you have a bit that's working, you want to extend it and write other things about it. So then that's the way it goes.
I had a time period where I had like 4 bits about aliens.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, this is too much.
You almost, once you get to a certain point, you start going, well, can I just go all the way and just do a one-man show about aliens?
Right. Go to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
a fringe festival.
I'll just be the alien guy.
Yeah. I bet you could. You could be like have a slideshow behind you.
Yeah.
SETI research. The big dish that you see in that movie Contact, Jodie Foster.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that movie.
No?
I mean, I'm familiar with it. I wasn't into it.
You didn't see that
I've
movie?
never been a
You
big
didn't enjoy it?
alien guy. No.
You're not a believer.
I feel like this is the kind of place where you could produce an alien. I'm like, nah, not really. And then a fucking thing comes and rapes me.
Well, I could show you the aliens, but you're going to have to not be sober.
Oh.
Oh, you're a fully sober guy,
Yeah.
right? Did you used to be a not sober guy?
Yeah,
Were you a mess?
Mentally, I felt like a mess. I mean, I never killed anybody or anything, but I'm an alcoholic, yeah. I shit in a girl's shoe and got herpes. Yeah, I had some fun.
Whoa.
Yeah.
In a girl's shoe. What did she do to you?
Nothing. Just invited me to stay at her house. I don't remember doing it. I was in a blackout or whatever, but yeah, I was all fucked up. And then I woke up and I had to piss so bad. Like I just woke up in the bed and I was like, I got to piss. And I was like, I don't know where I am. I actually had a flight. I was going to the Seattle comedy competition. Did you ever do that?
No.
It's like a month-long competition.
What?
And yeah. And it's not, they call it Seattle, but it's like actually all over Washington State. It's like you drive like 3 hours a night. It's pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah. But I had to like be there the next day for a month. I had like a 10 a.m. flight and I woke up at like 9:20 in the morning in this girl's bed. And I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. But first I got to piss because if I piss in this woman's bed, it's going to be horrible. So I ran to the bathroom, found the bathroom, pissed for like a half hour, you know those, and I'm trying to like put my shit together. I'm all fucked up. And then I came out into like her living room and her table had been like smashed, like a Chris Farley fucking table falter. And you know that feeling when you're fucked up where you look at something and you're like, that was definitely me. I can just feel like, I'm pretty sure I'm responsible for that. And then I was like, I got to go find my clothes. So I went back into her room. And on the way there, I saw like kind of like footprints of poo. And then I came in, and she had a high top Nike sneaker that just had like a big Duke sitting out there. Yeah, and there was some little pieces around. And then there was like a big puddle of urine too. Like I didn't just, because you never just shit. So I like pissed and shit, but I got it in her sneaker. Like
so
I fucking
you did
nailed
on
it.
Purpose.
Well, I was in a blackout, but I think what happened was I thought it was a toilet because that's not like my sense of humor. I've never been like a take a shit places. So I think I just saw a cylinder.
Was a toilet?
Well, if it's dark, it's black and it's a hole.
How big is her fucking shoes?
She had real big feet. It was a big woman. No, so I shit in there, and then.
Did you lose contact with her after this? Or did you
No,
guys stay
so
friends?
I was like, I got to get out of here because I got to go catch this flight. So I took my sock and put it on like a puppet, like a hand puppet, a sock puppet, and just kind of picked it up that way, and then turned the sock inside out,
Right.
which like almost like a shit in a sock, and threw that away. And I tried to wipe up as much of the.
She asleep?
No, they're gone.
Oh my god.
So I thought it's like 9:30 in the morning. I thought I just went so crazy that they all fled their own home. So then I get in the cab to go to the airport. I'm missing my flight. And I text the girl and I was like, I want to kill myself. Like I can never, I'm
shit
so
in your
sorry.
shoe. Did you tell her that? I shit in your
No,
shoe?
well, I figured she knew. So she wrote back, it's okay. It was crazy night. It was fun or whatever. And I was like, man, this girl must fucking party. Like she's just like okay with me shitting. I was like, this woman's wild. So then I got to the airport, flew across the country, missed my flight. I got the next flight out. On the plane, I like crossed my leg at one point and realized I had shit like up my pant leg. And so I had to like subtly put it down. And I always had a middle seat for a full, because I missed my
Inside or
flight.
outside of your pant
On
leg?
the pant, outside of my pant
How
leg.
much shit?
Just like a good streak. Like I would
So
say
you
ankle to knee.
You didn't go to the bathroom and try to clean it up?
No, because I was already on the plane. I was in a middle seat. And it was like caked on there.
Oh, my
This is like
God.
hours later.
Oh, my God.
So then I landed, took my phone off of airplane mode, and had a text that was like, holy shit. We had no idea how bad it was. And I was like, that makes more sense. That is a better reaction.
Yeah.
Because I thought they must. So the crazy part is, I shit. It was like 9 in the morning. They had left
Are you
for
sure
work.
that it was your shit?
Yeah. They didn't have a dog, and I assume they don't just shit in their own shoes. So I wanted to kill myself, but then I was late, so I had to go straight to the show. And I ended up
With shit on your pants?
Yeah, with shit on my pants and my leg. It was like caked in my leg hair. And it was the first night of the
People in the front
competition.
row going,
No, I don't think
anybody smelled it?
I don't think they noticed, because I think it would have been, I don't know. No one said anything.
That Joe List is funny, but God, he smells like shit.
So then I finished, and I took a shower finally, like 12 hours later. And I remember pulling little pieces of shit out of my leg hair. And it was the best shower of my life. It felt like
How was your set?
good. I killed. And I ended
Nice.
up winning that night, because each night you
Beautiful.
judge, and I came in like first place. So it was like one of the best
Wow.
sets I've ever had.
That sounds like a real comedian.
Yeah.
You show up with shit on your legs and you win a competition. You fucking kill. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
it was
a good
pretty,
story.
It was pretty fun. And then I ended up sending this message to these women. I have the message. It was on Facebook, so it lives forever. But it's about like this long. It's like a 12-inch. It just keeps going. And I'm like, I want to kill myself. I don't know how this happened. I really wanted to die. And luckily they were like 22. They were like fresh out of college, so they were like pretty
LOL.
forgiving. Yeah, but they were in their 30s. I would
Did they
have
send
been.
you a bunch of crying emojis?
No, they were just like.
You know, the laughing, crying one with the tears?
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
So I sent $300 in a car. I called my friend Nate Bargatze, and I was like, "How much is $300 like a good amount?" And he's from Tennessee. He's like, "I don't think there's an amount you can send. That's too much." So I sent him a card with $300, and I didn't really keep in touch with them, but they were nice, and they were like, "Hopefully you don't get that fucked up again." And then, by the way, I drank that, and I kept drinking for 2 more years. You'd think that would be like
Wow.
a bottom. And then I remember that night being like, "Well, I'm going to drink again at some point. I might as well." So I drank for like 2 more years. Then I got herpes, and I tried to stop then too, and then I just kept going.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
And what made you hit bottom?
I finally just, I fucking hated myself. I still do a little bit, but not as much. And it wasn't fun. I knew I had to quit it. It's like same as food. I'm like, at some point I got to stop doing it. This isn't a normal amount of drinking. And then it just it kind of happened. I tried to stop a couple times, and I'd go like a few days. And then one day it was just like a thing of like, this is it. I'm stopping now. I remember my brother-in-law, his father had just died. It was Christmas. And I was like making when you're drunk, trying to be funny. And I was like busting his balls about his dad. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm upset." I remember just feeling like such a fucking piece of shit. And then I remember like kind of the day after Christmas, I was like, I kind of just blacked out Christmas. Like I came home and I was like, I don't even remember what the fuck. And I was like, I got to stop. And then I was at Helium in Philadelphia. And I
Great club.
Yeah. And I was with Gary Gulman. I was opening for Gary Gulman. Also, my career was like kind of shit. I was like 15 years in or whatever. Oh, actually less than that. 12 years in, I guess. And I was like, I got to do something. I got to turn this around. So then I just stopped, and I got fucking really into sobriety. And it's like a new life. You're like, oh, everything feels new again and fresh again. I'm like, I'll go back to this. I'll get into sports again. I'll go to museums.
You're not tired all the time.
Yeah. And then you just feel better.
Yeah, the feel better thing's huge. That's the problem, is you're tired all the time. Like if you drink a lot, you're always like a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Well, I would lose days of my life because I was just hungover. It felt like shit. And then I realized for basically a decade, I was drunk or hungover or just foggy, like where you turn your head and it takes a moment for everything to kind of like catch up, where I was just fucking foggy. And just like that deep hatred. And I knew I had to go all in, and like, I'm not a guy that's like, I'll have a beer, and I never had that. Even now when I think about, I'm sober almost 6.5 years. Even now when I think about a drink, I'm not like, it'd be fun to have a beer. I'm like, it'd be fun to have fucking 500 beers right now. You know what I mean?
Just to go whole hog and black out again.
Yeah. So, and then the problem was, you know, when you quit drink or get sober, like the first 90 days, they're like, just don't worry about anything except for not drinking. Just eat whatever, do whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing that with food. I was like, I'm eating cookies, and then I just never stopped. So then I just did that for years with food, and now that's kind of caught up to me.
What do you think now? And how many years have you been sober now?
About 6.5.
So you're just sober now. You're cool with it. This is who you are.
Yeah.
Imagine if you did a show called Joe List Gets Fucked Up, where it's like you have handlers to make sure you don't shit in anybody's shoe.
Yeah.
You have everything taken care of, and you go, look, I haven't had a drink in 6 years, but I'm sober now. I'm content being sober, but for tonight, and tonight only, we're having a one-night Joe List Gets Fucked Up special.
Yeah.
And you just start at a bar and start getting hammered.
I think I would have to perform early, and then am I doing a show?
No. The show would be just following you around with cameras while you get blasted.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, if it's a show, I'd have to do it early.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to have like 2 beers, because then I'd be sobbing and be like,
I fell apart.
Yeah.
I lost it. I had it.
Yeah.
I was sober for 6 years. Now I've been sober no time. Zero.
That's the one of the motivating. I mean, there's a lot, but like the idea of going back to like day one, it's like such a which happens. I mean, it's part of getting sober. And people go. I don't want to disparage people that are having that happen, but like it's such a bummer to fucking walk back in there and be like, I got one day, and you're like, fuck me.
Yeah, it happens.
Of course.
I knew a lot of guys who had that. They would get sober for like a year and then dive back in. And
yeah, I tried early on. I tried to quit drinking, and then I was like, I'll smoke pot though, because I don't have. And then you realize with weed, like I'm outside of my mind. This is the same as I'm fucked up. Like when you get high enough, you're like, well, this is not sobriety. I'm fucking retarded right now.
Right. Was your thing just not being in your mind, getting outside of your mind, or was your thing blacking out and ruining your life? Because the only thing that's good about pot is you don't feel terrible.
Yeah. Well, I think I have like that addictive personality, so then I'd be high. But now it does seem like more appealing, because nowadays, first of all, it's like you can go to a store and there's a guy that's like, this weed makes you feel happy, this one chills you out, this one makes you gay, this one's crazy. Yeah. Like before, when I was never a big weed guy, but I'd get drunk and smoke, and sometimes you'd just smoke some fucking crazy demon weed and be out of your mind. It was just whatever, weed was just weed. Now it feels like there's categories and shit. Dude,
I did Be Real Smoke Box. You know Be Real from Cypress Hill?
I do now. I know Cypress Hill.
Be Real is the guy who raps in the crazy high pitched voice. Dr. Feet.
Okay.
I did his smoke box, and you get in this Cadillac and you smoke weed until you are no longer even a person. You are just you are a thought that is like a cork that's flowing down a raging river headed to a waterfall. Like you are so fucked up.
Yeah.
And you're trying to have a conversation and you're being filmed. And these guys do that every day. There's people that just get obliterated every day.
Yeah. I think that sometimes weed, people don't take it serious because it's like it's just weed and it's natural or whatever. But sometimes there's people that I'm like, yeah, but you're fucked up all day, every day.
Yeah, if you have an addictive personality and you have a problem with anything, there's a lot of people that get into that Kratom stuff. Do you know what that stuff is?
Mm-mm.
Kratom is, it's like a plant-based, I think people are trying to call it an opiate. I don't know if it's technically an opiate, but it's legal. You can buy it and it helps people, and it actually alleviates a lot of the symptoms of opiates. And it acts as a mild stimulant when you take a little bit of it. Like if you take 2 pills, it's like a cup of coffee. It's like, oh, I like this. This is nice. But then I said, I wonder what it's like. And I was asking a friend of mine who takes it all the time. I go, how much do you take? And he's like, I take 10 pills. I go, 10? You take 10? I'm like, what the fuck is that like? So I did it. I tried it. I think I took 8. I don't even think I took 10. And I was fucked up. I was like, oh, you guys are getting high.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you're high. I'm high right now. Like, this is not, like, you're not sober. Don't tell me you're sober and you're taking 8 pills of Kratom. Like, that stuff gets you high. And you can buy it legally. But it's a weird high. It's like everything functions. Like, your muscles and your arms and everything moves the way it's supposed to. It doesn't feel like you're uncoordinated or you're tripping and stumbling or anything like that. But your brain is like, this is not sober. It's just like screaming, this is not sober, but it's a different kind of this is not sober.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're like, I could have a conversation with you and you might not even know that I was fucked up on this stuff.
Right.
And I could go lift weights. Like I could go do something. Like it wouldn't impair. Like you go running on that stuff.
So is it like a heady buzz or like a body?
It's a heady thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like I was really shocked at how high I got because I felt like that's what someone said. They said if you take 2 pills, it has a mild stimulant effect similar to a cup of coffee. But if you take multiple pills, then it becomes more of like a downer or not a downer, more relaxing, more like an opiate.
Right.
But I didn't realize how fucked up you actually get. Like, you get pretty fucked up. And then you get a tolerance for it. So a lot of these guys are taking like 10 pills and then going to the gym. And they're like, oh, I need it for my back. I'm like, you're getting blasted.
But yeah, that's like that with booze and all drugs. It feels like you kind of chase that thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's like we were talking about with smartphones or like we were talking about with video games. Like, things get away from you.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem of being a comic, right? Like, all of us, there's something wrong with your brain to want to do this, right?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some sort of desire. There's some attention you didn't get somewhere.
Something went wrong.
You're upset about it. And so when you're not on stage or when you are on stage, you're trying to do something else to make you forget about that attention or affection you didn't get somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's a fucking... If you can harness it, though, like that... I didn't get enough attention. It can be super beneficial. It gives you insight.
Yeah.
It'll give you motivation if you can harness it.
Yeah. It's interesting to go that sort of self-reflecting and therapy or whatever your method is. Or people do it with mushrooms or whatever. But that introspective of like, oh, those moments where you're like, I'm doing that because of that. That's neat.
Yeah.
Then there's the next step of no longer doing the things you don't want to do because of that, or the habits that you have.
And the next step, you go to the Ram Dass Center in Malibu, start doing acid.
Oh,
I don't think in Malibu they have it. Where's Maui? Duncan goes to Maui every year, hangs out with Ram Dass, and
wow,
they meditate.
That's exciting.
Yeah, people come from all over the world to meet this guy and meditate with him.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I listen to, I love Thich Nhat Hanh. You know that guy?
No.
Oh, he's a Buddhist monk. I think he's about to die. I think he's like in his 90s. He hung out with like MLK back in the day. MLK nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's written like 70 books. He's a pretty amazing guy. What is his name again? Thich Nhat Hanh. It's THICH space NHAT.
Where is he from?
He's from Vietnam, but now he's been living in France for like, I don't know, 30 years. He's got his own meditation center, but he writes all these books and there's videos you can find.
Do you meditate?
I do. I try. Sometimes I'm such a fucking anxious guy that it's sometimes hard, but I read him a lot. And Jack Kornfield is another Buddhist. That's Thich Nhat Hanh, yeah.
That guy's 90 years old?
He's close. He's in his...
Is that an old picture?
Probably.
He looks great.
But I also, I mean, he's a real Zen master. So.
Yeah, so maybe he's going to live forever or some shit.
And then Tara Brach, I listened to her.
Oh, he's old as fuck now.
Her, that makes more sense. I'll listen to her like guided meditation. I'll do that. But
you use an app?
I just her podcast has like she does these guided ones. So not an app, but a podcast. And then sometimes I'll just sit.
Have you ever done a float tank yet?
No, your guy. I don't know what producer, I guess, was showing it to me, but I feel like I'd have a fucking panic attack in there.
You can just open the door anytime you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it closes you in.
Yeah, it seems terrifying.
The door just goes just like that. Just touch it gently. It'll open. It's nothing.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
But no, I've never done it. I should. But yeah, I've had panic disorder throughout my life, and I just for the first time in like a long time had a couple panic attacks last week for the first time in like 2 years. Yeah.
What was fucking with you?
I think a lot. There's like well, first of all, doing this show is anxiety. Now I feel like we're just bullshitting. I'm just trying to pretend there's not.
That's how it always is.
A plethora of people listening.
So I'm glad that you got there, because when we said in the beginning, like we almost didn't start. I was like, you want to tell people? You were telling me that you were kind of anxious. Like, well, let's just talk. Let's just.
Well, you're very disarming, but
well, I'm not trying to be.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that you are, but. I think a lot of it is like, this is a huge show, and then my wife was doing late night last night, and then I'm on the road with Louis, and he's this. I have a lot of my biggest fears are being like, you've disliked and wanting to please people. I'm a people pleaser, as many alcoholics are. So I feel like you feel like you're in the fire in these controversial situations, and the bigger audience, the more people are breaking down what you're saying and being like, "What's up with this fucking guy?"
What is it like doing the road? Are you doing the road with Louis now?
Yeah. Well, we've done a few dates. I've done a few dates with him. It's great.
Has the protest died down? And
we just did Acme in Minneapolis. I think it maxed out at 8 people outside. But for the most part, it was like 4 or 5 people.
Did you say hi to them?
No, I just walked by. I mean, I respect them for doing whatever they're doing. But
it's misguided.
Yeah, I think.
You know what I was really angry at? I was really angry at comedians' response to his leak set. That was very angry about that.
Yeah, it was strange. But I think people get pulled up into this thing. For some reason, there's a thing now where everyone thinks they're supposed to have a take on everything.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
No matter what happens, they're like, I better come up with a tweet or my take or anything.
Well, not
and
only
it's
that,
not actually necessary.
People ask you, why don't you have a take on this?
Right.
Why haven't you tweeted about this?
Right.
Like, there was the Christchurch massacre happened, and I was reading about it. And I was like, God damn, this is fucking crazy. And I'm reading about this, and this guy was a white nationalist, and he said hi to Pootie Pie before he went and killed all these people. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I never check my mentions. And then I just was, because I was on Twitter looking at all this stuff, I saw something that led to something that someone tagged me, and then I looked at my mentions for a second and like, how come you're not talking about Christchurch, you racist piece of shit? I was like, it just happened.
Yeah.
And I don't have a take. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to say? Rest in peace? Like, what does anyone want you to say when a massacre happens? This was horrible. Everybody knows it's horrible.
Yeah, it's a weird thing now. And if you don't denounce something,
Yes.
then you're on board.
You're supporting it. Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just trying to.
Well, with
live my
me,
life.
there's been situations with just talking to people. Like, they don't want you talking to certain people because those people are right wing, or those people. And you must be secretly right wing.
Right.
I'm not. I tell you, I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you believe me?
It's a weird thing. Like, I'm a liberal guy. I always call myself a '90s liberal. Like,
Before everything went sideways.
Yeah. I'm not like whatever.
You're not woke.
is happening. Yeah. I'm a, yeah.
Alyssa Milano's calling for a sex strike.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think that's going
Good
to work
luck.
out well.
That's what you do when no one wants to fuck you anymore.
Yeah.
You start saying crazy shit like, we're gonna have a sex strike.
Yeah.
Ladies, you're gonna hold out like that. And Tim Pool had the best take on that. He's saying, so men who agree with you won't get laid.
Right.
Like, what? It doesn't even make any sense. Like, but the idea that it's the same thing we're talking about earlier. They've lumped men into this category. Like, women are going to go on strike until we respect their reproductive rights in Georgia. First of all, it's just Georgia. You want to strike for the whole country. That's not going to help Georgia. I don't know if you understand voting, but that's not how it works.
Right.
There's state politics, local politics. Second of all, like, most men don't have anything to do with this. It's not like we have men meetings where we get together and say, hey, we got to stop these women from their exercising their reproductive rights.
Right.
So, like, you're punishing a bunch of people that have nothing to do with this because we also have penises? Like, what's the thought process there? This is so... But it's such an obvious virtue signal. It's so obvious that this is like pussy hats and the women's march. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna sex strike. And a bunch of our friends probably like, yeah, this is gonna work. Like, this is not how to handle things. It's not us. I've never voted against women's reproductive rights.
Right.
So if you're telling like my wife she can't fuck me because if she does, she's not down for the cause. Like, what are you're orchestrating everyone's sex life? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just gonna make people angry at you.
It's a little strange, and I'm like, I think that guy's an asshole. Can I still get laid?
Yeah. No.
I think he stinks.
No, you can't. And abortion's such a fucking creepy subject too, because it's such a minefield. Like, if you're a man and you even talk about it, like, first of all, why are you talking about it? It has nothing to do with you. It's a woman's right to choose in a woman's body. Like, okay, I get it. Yes. But it's a thing. So if it's a thing, you're allowed to talk about a thing.
Right.
And this thing happens to be a fetus that could become a Joe List or a Jamie Vernon or a Joe Rogan or it's going to be a person if it keeps going.
Who is Jamie Vernon?
That guy right there.
Oh, hey, Jamie.
Young Jamie. So that as the fetus grow, it will become a person. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to terminate the pregnancy. I'm not saying that. But that is what it is. It's going to be a person. And to pretend anything else, it's like no one wants you to discuss it that way. Like no one wants you to say that this is a viable offspring. It's going to be a person someday. No one wants you to say that. It's just there's code words like a woman's right to choose. There's like these ways of describing it, which I agree with. I'm not a pro-life person. I'm a pro-choice person.
Right.
But when it gets to be like 5 months old, and then people are saying, well, that's just a woman's right to choose. Okay, it is. But that's a baby now. Like that thing could live outside the womb.
But isn't there, isn't that law, I haven't read that much.
The Georgia law?
But I don't know the Georgia law, but like this thing with now they can late term, isn't that specifically if the baby or mother is in danger?
No, not everywhere. In some places it is. In some places it's not. In some places you just have the right to have an abortion up until a certain amount of time. And I think it varies. I don't think there's a federal guidelines. I think that's one of the reasons why Georgia just instituted this 6-week thing. Like their thing is the moment the child has a heartbeat. And that apparently is 6 weeks in.
Right.
But sometimes people don't even find out they're pregnant until 7, 8, 9 weeks in. And then you're saying they have to carry the baby.
Yeah.
You know? It's a fucking minefield.
Yeah, it's a hard, and like many subjects, people want it to be just kind of black and white.
Yeah, well, we need to have a sex strike to soothe this out.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Girls, we're going to go on a sex strike. How many women read that and were like, yeah, none? How about
Not
0?
many. Maybe a few thousand.
A few crazy bitches just out of their and a few men like, yes, please take it away from me. Please, let me show my virtue. Let me show my virtue.
Yeah, I imagine it's a small amount.
Imagine being her husband. She's like, we're going on a sex strike. That's it, sex strike. And he sees the Twitter post, and she made a poster for it, like with the little fucking pink ribbon and shit. Like, good Christ. He's probably like talking to his lawyer, like, what? Okay, what would I lose? Okay, if I left right now, like, how much? What would I have to pay? Like, what if she contests that? Okay, and then how much are the legal fees? All right, how many? What is like an average amount of time you have to spend in court? It's all men. They all did it. No sex for any men until we get our rights.
Well, it's a very similar. I mean, isn't that the mindset of racism?
Yes, exactly.
It's a very similar mindset of like, oh, someone was murdered. These, 6 guys in the train were yelling at me.
Exactly.
No more Latinos on the train.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's generalizations. And the idea that you have anything to do with other males. And it's even crazier than racism because it's like the whole gender. It's the whole gender. It's like not just like just white guys suck. No, it's like fucking everybody sucks. Nobody gets any pussy.
Right.
Until we sort this out.
Yeah. But do you think maybe part of it is just that?
What is this, Jamie? Oh, this is Bridget, my friend Bridget Fantasy.
Oh,
she said
hilarious.
someone tell Alyssa Milano's husband to call me. But you know what's funny is
she liked it.
Yeah, she liked it. Alyssa Milano liked it.
Yeah.
Well,
Look,
it's a good joke.
She's got it. It is. She's funny. Bridget Fantasy is very funny. But she's got to know that was a ridiculous thing to say. Sometimes you swing and you miss. Just like sometimes you have a joke that you try out and it bombs. And you're just like, well, fuck this joke.
Yeah. I've been on jokes where I'm like, oh, no one even realized an attempt at humor had just been made. Those are where you're like, oh, sorry.
You know what's weird? When a line kills at one show and then dies at the next show.
No,
and
it's
you're
amazing.
Like, I swear that's the same joke.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes bits just work for like weeks.
And then they go away.
And then they stop and you're like, what the fuck happened here?
I think it's your enthusiasm for them.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Part of it. Yeah.
And it feels more fresh at the beginning. And
yeah, you start faking the funk and the crowd starts to smell it. Like,
yeah.
You don't give a fuck about this subject.
They can smell it on me. Ooh. What movie is this? They can smell it on me. Sure as that dog can smell it.
I don't remember.
Anybody?
What is that?
That was Tim Roth in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, really?
I do one impression, and it's Tim Roth in Reservoir Dogs, and it's not even great. Fuck you! I'm fucking dying here! Because he's like British, but he's doing an American accent, so sometimes it kind of sounds weird. They can smell it on me. That's when he's in the the drug deal.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
telling that story.
That was a good fucking movie.
I love that movie.
I met Quentin Tarantino. He's an odd fellow.
He's a wonderful artist, but yeah, he seems a little bizarre.
He's very odd.
But
He's a fantastic director, but he had a bombshell with him. Oof. I was like, to be
the woman.
what that guy looks like, to be with her, like, woof, boy, did you figure it out.
Okay. I'm not good at impressions. I'm really bad at impressions.
So were you pissed off when that Louis C.K. Recording got released and comics were denouncing it?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it's a bummer. First of all, a lot of people were like, these aren't even jokes. He's not even joking anymore. And you're like, no, they're jokes. Like, I understand if you're don't like it or you're offended, but you're like, they're definitely jokes. He's on stage. He doesn't really think that they threw a fat kid in front of them. And that's not how he feels.
Right. He's saying something that's fucked up and funny. And it's funny because it's fucked up, because you're not supposed to say it, which is the exact thing he's done his whole career.
Right. And it's a new bit. It wasn't supposed to be heard outside of there.
It wasn't done. And for these people, look, there's a lot of times you'll say something one way and then you're like, it's not working. And then you'll figure out another way to sneak in through the back door and it works way better. And then if they heard the first way and like, this joke sucks, like, no, I figured out how to say it later, but now it's already on YouTube. You've ruined the material.
Yeah, I mean, he dropped the bit because it's just kind of like,
it's out there too much.
But
he had a fucking hilarious line. If you ever want people to forget about you jerking off, make jokes about kids getting shot.
Yeah, he does that. There's also a funny line where he's like, why are you in a suit? Which is funny. But yeah, and then people were talking about how now the parents have to hear this and stuff. And you're like, well, they weren't going to. You took it and put it out. And then CBS picked it up and put it on CBS. So now they're hearing it. But before that, there was just 180 people in Long Island hearing it. And
yeah. Which is what it was supposed to be. But the thing about working on material is if you like comedy, you can't release people's shit like that because you're never going to get good comedy. Because everyone's going to, like, every time Dave Chappelle does a workout set or anybody, you're going to get these half-cooked bits and then you're going to release them and it's going to ruin it for you. It's going to ruin it for the people that listen. It's like, for the people that are in the room, that's for them.
Right.
If you're taking it out, like, and there's been a lot of talk about Louis making this copyright thing, saying that, that they will take legal action if you print or you do anything to record or do anything to put the material online.
Right.
And someone's saying he can't do that. I'm like, well, why can't he do that? The difference between that and music. Like, if you go to hear someone sing a song and you write down the lyrics, go, oh my God, Gary Clark Jr. has this amazing new song. Here's the lyrics. That doesn't ruin the song.
Right.
But if you say, oh, he's got this hilarious joke and the twist is he says this, well, you just fucked that bit up for everyone that's ever going to listen to it or read that.
Right. Yeah, it's frustrating. It was frustrating. And then people start being like, he's alt-right now. He's going to do it. And you're like, no, he's not.
People are goddamn crazy. But the comedians that denounced it were embarrassing. It's like, do you not know what a workout set is? Do you understand this guy was out of comedy for almost a year? Do you know that this guy was doing a fucking hour after being out of comedy for almost a year? Fuck you. Stop pretending that what you do is different. Stop. And so many people were doing it, and it turned out that they had a bunch of jokes that were awful, or about a mass shooting,
right,
or about pulling your dick out in front of someone, or about anything along those lines.
It's also a bad precedent to start where I'm like, do we really want to start publicly shitting on comics' unfinished bits?
Exactly.
That seems like, because I don't want that.
No,
people are like, I
not.
saw a list at fucking Cellar and he's got this hack, and you're like, oh, give me a moment. Or tell me behind closed doors that like my bit's hacky or something.
How long is your a bit ready before, like, do you have a Comedy Central special? You have something, right?
I have a Netflix half hour and I did a Comedy Central half hour.
Okay. So how long did you have to work on those bits before you were ready to put them on Comedy Central or Netflix?
Quite a while. I like to do a bit at least 3 months before it's somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be
at the very
cooked.
least.
At the very least.
Yeah, yeah.
And it depends on the bit, right? Some bits are pretty fucking good a couple weeks in.
Yeah, yeah.
And other bits are... I've got a couple bits in my act now, and I'm like, this motherfucker needs an overhaul, and I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I've had bits that I've done for 2 years, and then you finally find a line, you're like, there we go. That was it. And then you're like, now it's more of a bit.
Exactly.
Because it takes time to figure it out. And but yeah, it's comics should. But I understand people hate Louis and they're going to hate him. So whatever he does or says,
I don't
they're
even
gonna
believe
be
they hate
upset.
him. I don't believe it. You know what I think a lot of it is? I think people are justifiably upset at the idea of him jerking off in front of women that didn't want him to. There's a couple factors to that, though. One is that he asked. You know, yeah, it's a weird thing to want to do, jerk off in front of people, but he asked. And a lot of these stories, the way you're getting the version of it, it's like worst case scenario. It's like he blocked the door. He didn't block any doors.
Right.
You know, and they were laughing. Like, people were joking around. Like, it became this traumatic thing years later, talking about it after the fact. But then on top of that, it's like, God, don't you think the guy has suffered enough? Like, when is he suffering enough? You see this lack of empathy with people where they don't even want to respect that he's a human being. They don't want to appreciate any of his old work. They don't want to. They don't have anything that he could do that would make them just go, all right, well, I know you're not going to do that again, and you seem like a reasonable person. It's like you can't be your past. You're not the guy who shit in that sneaker, right? You're Joe List today.
Yeah.
Right?
Nobody wants to be remembered for the worst thing they did.
And I think it's just a thing where they know it's an easy target. I really do. I think at a certain point in time, people just decide that this is a guy that you can take a free shot at, and you can shit on him, and you can attribute things to him that aren't true. You can attribute a bunch of things to him that are not accurate.
Right.
And it's easy, like calling him alt-right, or saying Louis C.K. showing his true colors now. Jesus Christ, go back and watch his bit about hitting a deer. Okay?
Right.
I mean, it's a fucking ridiculous, really funny material, and that's what I enjoyed about his act.
Right.
That bit, if left alone, I mean, it's out of his act now, but if left alone, in X amount of time, he would have crafted that into a great bit. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was a bunch of shitty fucking half-ass comics that came out and were talking trash about it. And I was like, you guys should shut the fuck up, because this whole art form is about trial and error. This whole art form is about being able to work. It's one of the rare things that we need a crowd in order for these things to come alive. We need it.
And you have to take chances. I just saw, ironically, with Louis, we went and saw Apocalypse Now during the Tribeca Film Festival. And Francis Ford Coppola was there, and he came out and he spoke about the film beforehand and after. And Robert Duvall was also there, and he came out and went, wow. "Charlie, don't surf." It was amazing. And it was really unbelievable. But Coppola was talking after the film, and he was like, I don't know if you know the whole story about Apocalypse Now, like that documentary Hearts of Darkness, which is amazing. And like he put like his house up for sale to like, or put everything on the line to make the movie himself. And he was just talking about you have to take chances with art. He's like, there's no art without taking big chances.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're taking a chance by doing a joke. I mean, I wouldn't do a joke about the Parkland shooting, but
I wouldn't either.
But you know, it's a risk, and it might go bad, and it went well. He got laughs.
Yeah, it got laughs.
But certainly, if you take anything outside of
a comedy club,
and put it out in the public, it's not for those people. It's for the people that bought the ticket.
Well, it's also in context of the experience of being in a comedy club, having a couple drinks, and watching a hilarious guy talk some shit, especially a guy coming back after a national scandal, not worldwide scandal.
Yes.
You know, and it's just, look, I wouldn't joke around about them getting shot either, but one of the things that made that bit work was that, yes, it was a horrible tragedy. Yes, those kids went through that. Yes, they're teenagers. Yes, they're trying to figure out life, and they're being interviewed on CNN, and some of them are changing their opinions, and they're developing and growing as we speak. But like one of them, like the David Hogg guy, he wrote "fuck the patriarchy" on his Twitter the other day. Like, that was his tweet. Like, and not even as a joke. Like, that's an 18-year-old. That's what kids do. Right?
Yeah.
They say silly shit. That's why the bit worked. Because he was like, why are you interesting?
Right.
You know, like, why do I have to hear from you? But, well, you have to hear from them because their friends got shot. I mean, but no one, obviously, like, that's not, this is not a conversation. This is stand-up comedy. It's an art form and saying things that are funny that are fucked up. That's part of the art form. And if you deny that, you just that's not the kind of comedy you like, or you don't appreciate what comedy is.
Yeah, and also it's a weird thing where I'm like, I'm for those kids. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like, this horrible thing happened, and you're like, we're going to use what power we have. I'm like, I think that's great.
Yes.
And they might actually fucking do something. I mean, it's like they're making changes, and I'm like, that's like fucking power to the people. God bless you. But I can still laugh at a joke about it. It's still funny to me to see someone be like, why are you in the... You can... Both things can exist. You can have empathy for murder victims and even be like rooting for me, like, wow, that's amazing what these kids are doing, or
and
these
still
young people are doing,
joke.
and still be like, it's funny.
It's funny. Look, it's not his best joke, but it wasn't done, you fucks. And here's the other thing. Like, do you know who Brian Holtzman is?
I don't think so.
You got to see him when you're in town, if you can. He's fucking hilarious. He's a legitimate maniac. He's a legend in Los Angeles. When I started the Comedy Store in '94, he was already there. And he's really fucking funny. But do you remember when Susan Smith drowned her kids? That lady, she pushed her fucking car into the river or something and drowned her kids?
No, but it sounds hilarious.
He was on stage a very short amount of time afterwards going, ladies and gentlemen, I heard those were bad kids. He goes, I heard they sat that close to the TV. They never put away their blocks. They're always spilling their fucking milk. He goes, those kids will not be missed.
Yeah.
And you were just like, what? It's not, he didn't really think those were bad kids.
Yeah,
it's a fucked up thing to say that happens to be funny.
Yeah.
And you might not be into that kind of humor. That's okay.
Well, that's part of, I think, what comedy is, or has always been, is saying a thing you're not supposed to say. That's like, to me, the very idea of comedy.
Yes.
Is you're saying abnormal things.
Right, like you talking about coming in your own face and whatever.
Yeah.
Or someone coming in your face.
Yeah, you're not supposed to express your sexually desires so openly.
It's not that you really mean that.
I do not.
It's funny, right? Right?
I think so.
Right?
I was attempting to be funny.
It's an art form that is often cited or quoted as if it's a statement. You know, like, he said this. Like, he said that on stage in a comedy club as a part of a big giant chunk about this.
Right.
And you're taking it out of context and you do it in the worst possible way. You put it in print. Of course it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Of course it looks terrible in print because it's not in a comedy club and it's not in context. It's like that has no relationship to the actual bit itself. Your print version of it, it's not. It's a lie. You should go to jail for saying that's the joke. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're defaming someone. You're taking what they were doing and you're pretending that what they were saying is what they mean.
Right.
You know that's not what they mean.
That's
but you
like,
don't care.
Remember that Lenny Boots, and that's in the movie Lenny, I think, where he talked about they were like reading his act.
Yes.
And he's like, but you're not saying it right. You gotta let me say it.
Exactly. It's the same thing. Look, no one thinks school shootings are a good thing. No one does.
No.
No one does. They're doing jokes about it because we know it's a horrible tragedy. That's why jokes work. And they don't work because you're mean. They don't work because you're horrible. They work because everyone knows you're joking. If everybody really thought you were a horrible person and you were happy that people got shot, they wouldn't laugh at a goddamn thing you said.
Right.
It's a fucking weird art form. It's a weird art form. And for it to be dismantled and disrespected the way it is, where people break down people's bits and take them out of context like that. It's so foolish. And the fact that people don't stand up for it, that are in the art form itself, that drives me fucking crazy. It drove me angry. There's a bunch of people that I won't even talk to anymore. I'm like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Like, this is what you're going to do if I do a bit that's half-cooked and then you're going to talk shit about me?
Right.
Like, you're doing this for your own favor. You're not doing this for the art form. You're not an empathetic person. You're not looking at him as a human being, saying, "Well, clearly the guy fucked up. He made some mistakes. And, that bit was good." But look, if you listen to that set, that's a good set, especially for a guy who's been out of comedy for almost a fucking year.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot stronger.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
He's a hilarious comedian. I mean, he's going to get to a point where he's got a real motherfucker of an hour, and then someone's going to have to figure out whether or not they're willing to take a chance and put it on.
Well, it's like you were talking about earlier, too. I mean, you can also just put it on
YouTube,
his website or YouTube or whatever.
Yes. I hope he does that. It's this idea that he should be punished for eternity. It's like, what are we, Catholics? Like, what's going on here? Like, what is this? What did he do? I mean, he did something that wound up costing him $35 million, massive public shame, still to this day, it's almost like 2 years later. What is it, like a year and a half now?
Yes, November 2017.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? Like, what do you want him to do? You know, I mean, we're not talking about Harvey Weinstein here, and this idea that you're not even supposed to compare offenders. You're not supposed to make judgment calls. Well, of course you are. That's why some people go to jail for life, and some people go to jail for 2 years. And this is the reason why we have lesser punishments for lesser crimes.
Right. Yeah, there's a system in place.
If you ask people if you can jerk off in front of them, and they say no, and you don't jerk off in front of them, good for you. You got some restraint. If you ask people if you can jerk off in front of them, and they say yes, and you do it, like, maybe it's a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
But you're not Bill Cosby. Okay, to say that you're not supposed to make these comparisons, it's like, this is a loaded subject too, right? Like, we're talking about this, and I see you're nervous.
Oh yeah, I'm terrified. But yeah, no, I love Louis.
I love Louis too. He's a great comic.
Yeah, he's a great guy also. But yeah, I understand people are upset.
I get it, but I think it's disproportionate. I really do. You know,
I would agree.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly. But yeah,
how long do you think it's going to be before people just let it go?
Well, I think there's actually the group of people that are really upset about it. I think it's probably like 250,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but there's like 300 million people in the country. Maybe it's less than 250,000. I think it's the minority.
So you think most people are like, he did something crazy. But the other thing is, like, you want to kind of see the guy who jerked off in front of women. So people want to go see him live.
I mean, he's a great comic stuff. But I mean, the shows, I mean, I'll read Twitter and stuff. Sometimes I'll go on, we'll hang out and I'll just search his name to see. Like one time we went out to eat in New York and there was a kid, like a hipstery kid. He looked similar to me, actually. But like a young kid, and he stopped and just like stared at us and was like, and then he started taking photos and then he left. And then I looked up Louis' name on Twitter, and I found the kid, and he wrote, just all caps, just gave Louis the finger, which he didn't. He didn't give us the finger.
Hilarious.
And
He's
then he wrote
virtue signaling.
And then he wrote, attention NYU students, this is all caps, Louis C.K. is in the neighborhood, make him uncomfortable, exclamation point. God. We were like, that's like psychotic.
But that's what I was talking about earlier, that I think he's a target. And I think they just decide that this is what they're going to do now. And like that guy was saying that he gave you the finger when he didn't. The virtue signaling aspect of it is one of the weirdest parts about social media, because it's people that ordinarily, like in a real world scenario, you have an opportunity to say something if you really feel so compelled. The guy's right in front of you. You don't say shit. And then you get online and tell other people to do it?
Right.
Other people to make him uncomfortable?
Well, for the most part, yeah, we'll go around and it's the weird thing about online. Most people are much different in person because you realize it's a human being. I think the natural thing is like, oh, this is a person.
Exactly.
And then, we'll go to like these kind of hipstery coffee shops where you think that kind of person would be, and he goes, "Hi, how are you? Can I get a?" And they go, "Oh, sure, yeah." And that nobody. Right. I mean, people get dirty looks and stuff here and there,
course.
But there's way more online than not online. But
that's always going to be the case.
The shows are all selling out, and there's a few people outside.
Has he ever talked to those people outside, or does he just get in?
No, I don't think so.
How does he get in?
This is kind of a back door. We just went in the back, and good for them. I think that they're misguided, like you said, but
I think they want him to be this evil person they should be protesting against. But I think if you look at it on paper, what he did was just not good. It's like it's the worst that I had heard was that some people's careers had suffered because they were talking about it.
Right.
And that but I don't know how much of that is accurate. I need to find out about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know the whole thing. I always feel like I love Louis. He's one of my best friends now, which is weird to say, but we're close. But I don't really begrudge the women. I think that two different people can have the same experience and take different things from it, feel different ways.
That's true.
And I understand sexuality is weird. So like they could, in the moment, and his perception might be, well, they said yes. And I think he kind of talks about this a little bit on stage. And I don't want to tell his feelings, his stories to tell. But I think one person can be like, I thought they were saying yes and they're into it. And those women can feel, yeah, we kind of said yes, but we felt fucked up and pressured. Two people can have the same experience and have different perspectives. So I don't begrudge any of the women. I understand that they are hurt and feel mistreated. And
even if you say yes, you're still, and you see something you didn't want to see, you're like, whoa, and then you can never unsee it. Yeah, it's like it's in your head.
Yeah, I understand they're affected by it. But
does he ever jerk off in front of you?
No, I keep asking.
He won't do it?
No, I asked him to come.
Maybe
to my
he
things.
has to ask first. Maybe that's his thing.
Oh, maybe I blew it.
Yeah, maybe you have to like play shy.
Yeah.
So you know what I would hate if you jerked off in front of me? Say like drop-ins.
Yeah, maybe I will. But he's a good person and a great dad, and I love him. I love the guy.
Yeah, everybody wants to erase everything he's ever done. It's so like, didn't FX like not just cancel it, but they made the show unavailable?
Yeah, I think you can get it on iTunes, but yeah, it's done, and then. I think he's still on Netflix, though.
Yeah,
you can still see it. But
yeah, you can still see it. But they canceled the new one that he was going to do.
Yeah, he's supposed to do and then Pets 2, they dropped
They got rid of him.
Yeah. So it was a bummer. But it's weird with people. I mean, shouldn't we be empathetic to all people?
Yes, I think we should. I think we should. And I think, maybe it would serve him if he went out and talked about it extensively, like had a conversation about it, like maybe videotaped it or something. I mean, I don't know. Like if people had his take on it other than that little letter that he wrote right after it happened.
Yeah.
Maybe that would help.
Yeah. Which I thought was a good apology, a good statement, I thought.
Yeah. Some people will never be happy, and some people were happy with it. And some people just felt like it wasn't enough, that, he didn't specifically say, I am sorry. I feel horrible. I'm sorry I did this. He basically said he did it, and those stories are true, and that he fucked up, and he thought that he thought that by them saying yes, that was okay, but meanwhile, he took advantage of the fact they admired him.
Yeah, and
he
expressed regret.
Yes.
People are like, but like you said, people are going to be unhappy no matter what.
No matter what. Now, even if he said, I am sorry, that's not good enough. You're only sorry because you got caught. Like people, they're always going to have, there's some people that are just not empathetic. And this is what I really got very angry about with the leak of the recording. I'm like, yeah, it's not his best material. Of course it's not. Hasn't done comedy in 10 months. Like when I was hearing it from other comedians, I'm like, how do you do this?
Right.
Don't you do the same thing we do?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? He's a fucking person. He's a human being.
Yes.
He's a year and a half of him being stared at everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
And fucked with. He gets it.
And losing friends.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. But those friends, if he lost some friends, he's better off. If he lost friends because of that, like if that was Ari, I would call him up. Like if there was a New York Times article about Ari jerking off in front of people, I'd be like, bro, I'm a little hurt. You never jerked off in front of me. I'd be like, I would, if he's like, I fucked up. Like I've had conversations with Ari about things where, he's like, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. It was a bitch move. Like he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like you can't do anything. Like once you're my friend, like, unless you're out there murdering kids or something, or doing something really fucked up, or actually raping someone.
Yeah.
Any friends that Louis lost for that? Like, come on, man. What did you think? Did you think he was a perfect person? He's a nut. He's a maniac. He's a goddamn professional comedian.
Right.
Yeah,
we're flawed people.
Yeah, that's how it all comes out good. It's like there's got to be something fucked up about your head where you can come up with these. And another one that drives me crazy is these guys who are freaks and they're out of their fucking mind off stage, but on stage they have like sort of a more squeaky clean thing, and their public thing is more squeaky clean, and they're judgmental about it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, please stop. You're fucking crazy as anybody. You just have a good squeaky clean act. So shut your hole.
Yeah, sometimes I think the people with the cleanest acts are the wildest animals.
It's often the case.
Yeah.
It's often the case. Yeah. Which is fine, man. Like, a perfect example is Brian Regan in a good way. He is so fucking funny and so clean.
The funniest. Yeah.
And you go, this guy's got to be fucked up. There's got to be something wrong with him. Nothing. Hang out with him. Super normal. Friendly guy. Nice to everybody.
Great guy. The nicest guy.
What is in your dungeon, sir?
One time we were hanging out and he was smoking a cigar, and I thought it'd be funny to say, hey, can I get a little bit of that cigar? Because that's such a ridiculous... And he was like, oh, sure. And I was like, what? I'm kidding. I wouldn't put my mouth on your cigar.
But you would on a joint.
All right. Yeah, but you do with a joint.
Like
yeah, which I always thought was strange, too.
And a blunt. You do it with a blunt, which is kind of half joint, half cigar.
Yeah, maybe actually I'm the asshole in this story. Maybe he's not even that nice. It's just a normal...
No, that is a weird thing to ask.
A cigar feels very personal, too, and you're like... It's yours for like an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah, a joint's just kind of a quick...
Well, yeah, joint's 2 hits. Like, if you have a whole joint to yourself, you're greedy.
Yeah.
There's like a camaraderie thing that comes from smoking joints together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I'm back.
You ready?
No.
I got some right here. It's all over the place.
Oh, wow.
This is all filled with weed. See that chest over there? That's a full chest filled with weed.
Wow. Isn't that, couldn't you get in trouble for that?
No, it's legal.
But with that much, couldn't they get you for intent to distribute or something?
No. It's legal here.
Really?
Like,
you can just have a case?
Yeah, marijuana is legal.
But like guns are illegal, but that guy had 1,000.
But that guy had illegal sales. He was selling guns.
Gotcha. I see.
They got tipped off that he was a dealer. He's probably selling it to gang members and drug dealers and such.
Oh, no. Oh,
Dude.
my.
Dun, dun, dun. Do you think about having just a little weed, just a little touch? Or would you just go start shooting heroin like immediately afterwards?
No, I don't think I would do that. But I don't think weed does not as much excite me or anything.
What does? Drinking?
Yeah, I mean, I love drinking. I was more of a drink guy. I mean, I drank. I mean, I joke about it. Like, I love my sobriety, but like 1.5 Vicodin and 3 beer was like the best I've ever felt in my entire
in your life.
Yeah, and like a cigar. One time I went to Baghdad. I did like a USO thing with Nate Bargatze, and we bought Cubans, and I had some Vicodin. I took like a Vicodin. I don't know if he did. I don't think he did. But I had like a Vicodin. We had a couple beers and a cigar. We were at Saddam Hussein's palace. And in the moment, I was like, this is the best I've ever felt.
Did you do stand-up over there?
Yeah.
What is it like doing stand-up for the troops over there?
It was fun. It was amazing. It was the most grateful audience. They were like so nice and kind.
Wow.
And it was really cool. I mean, some of it sucked because some of it was like 2 PM. And there's like 12 guys. It's fucking 100 degrees. They're holding rifles, being like, what the fuck is this?
That was the show?
A couple of them, yeah. Some of them were like, the ones in Kuwait were better because that was like not a war zone. And you're on a base and there'd be like 100 people. But some of them were like just in the middle of like 11 o'clock in the morning in the middle of fucking Baghdad.
Wow.
But it was pretty amazing. Like we got to fly on these Blackhawks and we were in Baghdad. We went by those cross swords and stuff where the statue was pulled down and shit.
What did you do when you were in Saddam Hussein's palace?
That became like an American base. We stayed there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of
You
fucking...
stayed in Saddam Hussein's palace?
Yeah. It's pretty
Did you jerk
crazy.
off in Saddam Hussein's palace?
I don't think I did. I think Nate and I shared a room.
Oh.
And I asked and he said no. So.
I would have to. I think I'd feel compelled. I'd be like, bro, you're going to have to leave the room. I got a goal. I got to check something off the list.
It's a bizarre feeling because, it was like... we took over and then just made this palace into a base. And there's like a driving range. You can like hit into like his prayer pond or whatever the fuck it is, like reflection pool.
He's got a prayer pond filled with golf balls?
Yeah,
That's
completely
hilarious.
And they sell Cubans in like the lobby.
Oh, America.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
We are fucking something.
Yeah. But no, it was amazing. It was awesome. One time we were on the Blackhawk helicopter and they shoot flares out for whatever. I can't remember why on every flight, but they didn't tell us that. So all of a sudden you just hear like... and you feel the heat, and I thought we were in a fucking battle.
Whoa.
Like, I almost shit my... Like, it felt like... when you don't have to shit, and all of a sudden you're like, this is shit. I could shit right now.
Yeah.
It was that feeling.
Your body tries to evacuate anything in there because it thinks it's in danger.
Yeah, so like, we want to be able to run. Let's get all our fecal matter out.
When you get really nervous like that, you immediately have to piss and shit.
Yeah, I just took a huge shit right before this show.
Did you use the little buttons on the toilet to shoot water up your asshole?
It wasn't here. I was afraid you'd beat me up if I shit, so it was at the Starbucks.
You know who did do that? James Brown. That's one of the ways he got arrested. He shot at someone who used his toilet.
Oh, well, I thought
and then he got in a shootout
here.
with the cops. No, I wish. There's a picture of him, his mugshot, right out there, and it was from that arrest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shit at Starbucks. I was at the Starbucks across the street, by the way.
Like
and
homeless cooties.
I was in line, and like a white dude with a skateboard just cut in front of me in the line. It was very bizarre. And I said, "What? I'm next." And he's like, "Can I just buy some gum?" He was buying Starbucks gum, which is already a red flag. And I was like, "I guess." I was in line. He's like, "I need to be at work in 5 minutes."
Whoa, what a dick.
I didn't know you could do that.
You can't do that.
And I was like, all right, I don't have to be anywhere.
Especially if he talked to you like that.
I was early. But yeah, he looked at me like I was an asshole.
Yeah, he's a dick.
And I was like, maybe you shouldn't be buying gum. Also, maybe you might want to find a different means of transportation than a skateboard.
Yeah, you late fuck.
Yeah, you fucking late loser.
I'm going to be at work in 5 minutes and I need gum. What do? Do you talk close for a living?
Yeah, you fucking jerk. If you're
Jerk
listening.
off.
He probably listened. He doesn't
Probably
know.
does.
He didn't know where I was going.
He didn't know. He's probably like, I'm so sorry, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get knocked at work. I'm going to get in trouble, man.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
When was the last time you had a job?
2007.
What'd you do?
I worked at Sears. I did loss prevention. Oh. It was amazing. It was one of the best day jobs ever.
Really?
Well, my cousin was the boss, which helped, and he let me work from 10 to 6, which is great comedy hours. And then we were like plain clothed, I guess. Just
so you just walked around and busted people stealing?
Yeah, it had like a little radio on the belt, and then we had a crazy camera system for 2007. Like it was, I think we had 82 cameras. And you could zoom and shit, and you just watch people all day, and then you'd walk around the store and be like, "We got to keep an eye on the camera 11."
So you're like a secret agent.
It was fun. It was really fun, and we got to stop shoplifters and shit. It was amazing. I actually miss it. It was really fun.
Wow. I used to work for a private investigator, and
similar.
Yeah. It actually turned out it was one of those people where you meet and you go, this guy should be a comedian. He was hilarious. His name is Dave Dolan. He's dead now. And I keep a voicemail message from him just because he was such a character. He was just such a fucking character. And he was hilarious. And he got a DUI, and they took away his license. And what he really needed was not an assistant. He needed a driver. So I just had have a good driver's license. So, but I was working as an assistant, and then we became friends, and we'd bust people. Mostly people that were stealing insurance money. They were like doing things like pretending they were injured, and they'd take another job on the side, and then we'd catch them. We'd have to get there at like 5 o'clock in the morning and wait for them to get up and go to work, and then follow them, take pictures of them and shit.
That's fun.
It was a fun gig. Yeah, it was fun. It was real fun too, because he was actually cousins with Bill Downs, who was one of the owners of the Comedy Connections.
Bill No Money Downs.
That's it.
Yeah. I worked for that guy a couple of times.
Yeah, me too, many times. And Dave was his cousin, so it was like just dumb luck. I became friends with this guy, but from driving him around, and his cousin was one of the guys that owned the Comedy Connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
I loved working at Sears. It was fun. I feel like comedians are actually good at that job because we're hyper aware and we're doing a lot of judging anyway. So you watch like an audience come in, you're like, that guy's going to hate me. This woman's too drunk. That guy's fat.
Right.
And I think it's similar to shoplifters. You're like, something's up with this guy.
Well, it's also like, it sounds like a job that doesn't suck. Like you can wander around. No one's telling you what to do. It's not like you're stuck at a fucking desk going over stupid numbers or something you don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, and it's low maintenance physically. I know guys in New York that are like movers for their day job, and I'm like, you can't have a fucking manual labor job. Like you get up at 6 and you're carrying couches. Like you're not going to hit an open mic at 8 p.m.
You're going to be exhausted. Yeah.
But I loved it, and having your cousin as the boss is great. I streaked through a Sears at my last day.
You took your clothes off?
We decided, well, I couldn't go naked because it's like a sex crime. So I covered my face with a brown paper bag and bought like a candy thong necklace at, it's not a necklace, it's a candy thong at Spencer's Gifts, and I wore that. I got video of it. My buddy just sent it to me. I hadn't seen it in like 12 years.
It's a sex crime if you take your clothes off?
Yeah, if you run through naked.
Isn't that hilarious? That's a sex crime.
So I was like,
but
I better
to have no clothes on, which is how you are naturally, how you're born. You are a walking sex crime.
I get it. You can't have people running around naked in a store.
Wait a minute. But why not? What is the problem?
Well,
the
we're
problem
living
is
in a
they
society,
touch you.
Joe.
Okay, if a woman walked through a store naked, do you think she should go to jail?
I don't think she should. I would assume she has mental problem. I think she should
Or she just likes to be naked. If a gal goes through a place, like maybe you're at Target, and some gal just decides to take off her clothes and walk as far as she can through Target before they arrest her.
Uh-huh.
Are you in support of her being arrested and taken to a jail and hit with a sex crime?
No, I'm not in support of that. But there's a lot of things, rules and laws that I'm not in support of. But
it seems like it's okay if a guy gets arrested doing that.
Well, it depends on what he's doing, I suppose.
That's how I feel. If a guy's running around naked,
if he's just running and jogging, like
flopping around inside Target, that guy's a criminal. I don't need to see. Is he hard or not? It's a good question. It's a very good
Interesting.
question.
He's a hardened criminal.
Question. Yeah, if he's hard, he goes straight to jail.
Well, that's like
right to the electric chair.
That's a particular sexual. But just his cock.
Yeah.
It's an electric condom.
What if he's got all his clothes on except for his cock and balls, and he's just riding out? You know, he's got just coming out of the.
Isn't that a rule in San Francisco? Like you can walk around naked, you just can't have a hard on.
Is that true?
Really?
That's what I just heard Brian Callen say that.
Why don't you Google that? Google that. We need to find out if this is true.
In New York, I know in the park you can be naked. I think naked.
Really?
You can walk around topless. 'Cause
Topless.
I've seen a couple of women.
Women are allowed to go topless because men used to be able to go Well, men could go topless forever, but there was a rule that said that women couldn't, and women are like, well, this is bullshit. And they're right. And I think a lot of them didn't even want to be topless.
Right.
But they were like, well, this is fucked up. People telling us that our like Sarah Silverman. Sarah Silverman just posted on Instagram a photo of her mirror, like her bathroom mirror, and you can see her tits in the mirror. She did it on purpose to like make a point. Like, why? First of all, she did it because she has great tits.
Okay.
And she wanted everybody to see her great tits.
That's
and
fair.
They're pretty fantastic.
I missed it. I'm bummed.
But also, like, why is it okay if you could see my tits? Why is it okay to see my nipples, but you can't see her nipples? Like, what are we, babies?
I agree. That's free the nipple. I'm for it.
Instagram is really hardcore on that. But Twitter, you could do porn.
Yeah.
They'll have porn on fucking Twitter. There's porn all. I follow porn stars. They watch them fuck.
Maybe I'll do some porn.
You think so?
Yeah, why not? I got a dick.
You do have a dick.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, it's nice.
Do you think that you should be arrested if you just walk around naked?
If I was making the rule, I don't know. It's hard because it's
It's all in what you do with it. If you go rubbing it on people, yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
But if you
That
just
would be
walk around
assault.
naked,
Yeah.
and kids point at you and laugh, and you go, huh?
That's the thing. It
Really
depends. I
funny.
mean, there should be adult areas where you can walk around naked. I think.
Like a nude beach.
Yes, they have those.
They have those.
Yeah. But arrested, I don't know. I would just assume someone is a little off mentally if they're walking around naked. Because there are societary norms, I guess.
Societary?
No, I don't think so. It sounds like a guy. Societary.
Sounds like a horse that wins the Kentucky Derby.
It says that they changed the public nudity law in San Francisco in like 2013, I think. But we were there when you shot your special, and 100%. I was at the top of Lombard Street, and there was a large gathering of naked people. So I don't know what the fuck that was about.
Nonsense.
So they didn't get it stopped. There was cops right there. They didn't stop them from doing anything. I have pictures of it. So I don't know what that was about.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I got to wrap this up. Joe List, you're a funny motherfucker.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me. I appreciate it.
Comedy's very funny.
I hope it was okay.
You were great. And people can see your Netflix special. It's available. And Comedy Central, they have it online too, right?
Yeah, it's online. The Netflix thing is the Standups, season 2 of the Standups. It's a half hour. And I got a couple albums online and stuff.
Joe List will be with me tonight at the Improv. It's sold out. 2 shows with Bert Kreischer and Andrew motherfucking Santino. That's it, folks. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Say bye, Joe List.
Thanks for having me.
Joe List
Goodbye.
Comedy. Is that your, what's your Instagram
At
and
Joe
Twitter?
List Comedy, Instagram and Twitter.
All right. Bye.